A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gutter, the prison, or the grave. This started with a wreck and went from there to double murder over $75,000 worth of glitter that nobody got in the end. Because I found out just in time what was fishy about the tale of the Mermaid.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Tale of the Mermaid.
At 9:30, I was still in my office, tucking in the loose ends on a report, while I listened with half an ear to the fabric of city sounds rising from the street below. Fabric ripped suddenly by tires clawing concrete. The shattering crash that followed brought me to my feet. It was a traffic accident, and a bad one. I ran to the window, but it had happened around the corner out of sight from my office. So I watched others run for it and remembered grimly that every 30 seconds, somewhere in the country, a thing like that happened. And 1 out of every 16 minutes was fatal. I wondered who had been chewed up in a chromium meat grinder this time as I listened to first the police, then the emergency ambulance, and finally the scavenger truck cleaned the wreck off the street. After that, I went back to my report again and tried to forget about it. But an hour later, that same accident came back into my office.
Mr. Marlowe.
Yeah?
This is Corey Riggs.
Yes, Miss Riggs?
I'm a nurse at the Warwick Emergency Hospital.
Uh-huh.
About an hour ago, a man named Stanley Ott was brought in, and he's been calling for you.
For me?
He was badly injured in an automobile accident on Cahuenga on his way to your office.
Wait a minute. Who did you say this was?
I'm the nurse assigned to Mr. Ott at the hospital. I just got off duty, and I had to wait until I was relieved before I could call you.
I see. Well, look, Miss Riggs, I'd like to help in any way I can, but it's 9:30.
Mr. Marlowe, Mr. Ott gave me $250 and told me to call you.
Yeah, I know, but
And he said that I should give you $200 and keep the $50 for myself.
Oh, fine. Now I get clients by proxy.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing. I'll be right over, Miss Riggs. I didn't know anyone named Stanley Ott, and I felt a little like an ambulance chaser, but I was only 15 minutes from getting to the emergency hospital. As I walked up the ambulance ramp, a smart-looking brunette came toward me.
Mr. Marlowe? I'm Corey Riggs, the nurse who called.
Oh, hello. Can I see him now?
It wouldn't do any good. You see, he went into a coma a few minutes after I called.
Oh, too late, is that it?
Let's move away from the door, shall we?
Sure.
You see, Mr. Marlowe, before he went into the coma, Ott wasn't rational. He was raving.
About what sort of thing?
About you and a girl.
Oh?
As near as I could make out, she's supposed to meet someone tonight at 2 o'clock and collect $75,000.
It's quite an assignment. Who's the girl?
I don't know. All Ott said was something about a plaid coat as identification.
Plaid coat, huh? Any idea what he wanted me to do? Chaperone, maybe?
No, he kept pleading, stop her, she can't do it. So I'm sure that he wanted you to prevent this girl from keeping that appointment. For some reason, it seems absolutely imperative to him.
Where was this 2 o'clock meeting supposed to take place?
I have no idea.
Oh, fine. So it boils down to this. A girl we don't know in a plaid coat is meeting someone we don't know at a place we don't know at 2 a.m. The man who wants me to prevent it is in a coma and can't talk. Didn't he say anything else, Miss Riggs?
He just kept saying, you've got to help me, Marlowe. It's life and death.
You know, we can stir up an awful hornet's nest poking our noses into $75,000 worth of business we know nothing about. I doubt that we can do any good anyway, because we don't have enough to go on. If he said anything else to even point in the right...
Marlowe.
What?
Oh, wait a minute. He mumbled something once about a Constantine.
Constantine?
Yes, it's from here.
What is it, a boat?
I don't know. But at least it's a lead, isn't it?
Anything else?
No.
Okay, where can I reach you?
I'll be at my quarters, Crestview 5781.
5781. And keep track of Stanley Ott's condition, will you? If he comes out of it, talk to him. We've only got 3 short hours. I'll call you, Corey. I felt a little weird as I left the hospital because I was traveling on strictly second-hand information as to what had gone on in a delirious mind. But in spite of that, there was still enough coherence in what Corey Riggs told me to make a case. My first stop was a phone booth and a call to the police, where I found out from the accident report that Stanley Ott was 30, unmarried, small-time lawyer, and an L.A. resident with a clean police record. My next call was the harbor master's office at San Pedro.
Constantine? No, don't remember no vessel by that name, sonny. Just a minute, I'll look her up in the registry. Let's see. Constantine. Only one listed is a 4-masted schooner sunk off Pirates Point near Monterey in 1870.
A little before my time.
Not the one, eh?
Not the one. So I tried the Coast Guard.
No fishing boat called Constantine on this coast, mister.
That was followed by a check of Yacht Harbor at Long Beach, negative. And a call to the pleasure boat anchorage at Santa Monica.
No Constantine registered here, sir.
After that, a long, futile reconnaissance of the waterfront from one end to the other. It left me 1 solid hour later out at the end of a tottering, almost abandoned concession pier in Venice, swearing in blind frustration at the black, seething ocean below. I was licked.
You ain't thinking of jumping in, are you, pal? Hey, you look like you lost your best friend.
I did, Buster. Me. I was sunk with a Constantine in 1870.
Constantine? Hey, you know him, too, huh?
Him?
Yeah.
You mean Constantine's a guy?
Sure, pal. There's a shack there. Wait till the beacon light comes around again. You see? See there?
Well, I'll be. Prince Constantine Chevnov. Akko says promised and medium, personal consultant by appointment only.
Yeah, but that's a fake.
No fool.
All them guys, he owes everybody around, even at the Ziggy, me, for $1 and that's something. But he's a genuine Russian prince. Hey, where are you going?
Have a look. Prince Constantine Chevnov could be my boy.
He wouldn't want you nosing around here, pal.
That's too bad. Does he live here?
Yeah, in the back. He runs his pitch in the front where all them green curtains are.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I suppose he always leaves his door unlocked, huh?
What? No. Hey, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I'll bet. There'll be a light switch here someplace. Oh, yeah. Now let's see what... Oh.
Holy cats. Goodbye, mister. Goodbye.
As the little wharf rats darted through the door and scampered away into the darkness, I went over to the body, face up on the cheap, gaudy carpet of the seance room. He was about 35 in a substantial gray business suit stained red in front where the bullets had gone in. His wallet was missing. There was no other identification on him. His gray, snap-brim hat was spilled a few feet away, so I picked it up to look for initials and found instead a small file card stuck into the sweatband. Typed at the top was the heading, The Mermaid. Owner Otis Van Owen. Only relative Evelyn Van Owen, niece. Mermaid stolen November 12, 1948. Insurance paid in full. In ink, Van Owen died August 1949, and under that in pencil, Constantine Chevnov, Venice Pier, and Louis Paradise, 913 Seacrest Road, Pacific Palisades. It took 20 minutes to find 913 Seacrest. And when I stopped and got close enough, what I saw through an open window made Constantine's trap I just left look as reliable as a post office by comparison. It was a miniature Egyptian temple, exotic and dainty, sickening lushness of red velvet and yellow silk. And in the center of the room was a bloated little man, balancing a long cigarette holder in one hand, while he simpered into a honey-colored French phone in the other. I moved up quietly until I could hear him.
A sentimental agreement. That is right, Evelyn. Your Uncle Otis and I were the best of friends for years. Well, thank you, child. Where are you now? Oh, the servitor. Good, good. I advise you to stay there until a few minutes before 2, and you will not forget to wear a plaid coat just to be sure I won't make a mistake.
What is it, Bud?
What?
Sideshow?
Careful
now. Sudden noises like this gun going off upset Mr. Paradise. What do you find so interesting inside?
Conversation. About the mermaid, probably.
Uh-oh. Too bad you dropped that one, Bud, because I'd bump you for a nickel. Say nothing to 75G.
I don't talk things over with punks. I reserve it for the head man. Go do something about it.
Okay, Bud, I will. Go on, move. Round to the door and inside. Mr. Paradise gets some kind of kick out of stepping on big guys like you.
The gopher face shoved his automatic into the small of my back and marched me inside, where the air was thick with cheap incense. The bloated little king with the long cigarette holder had stepped out. But he came back fast when the gopher called him.
Mr. Paradise.
He stared at me from across the room, and his nostrils flared for an instant. And he simpered again and sidled toward me. The gopher dug at my spine with his gun.
Well, now, what is this you did?
Snooper, Mr. Paradise. Caught him outside, peeking in the window.
Oh, it is a bad night for snoopers. Who are you?
Name's Marlowe.
And the business?
Snooping.
He knows about the mermaid, Mr. Paradise.
He does he? How much do you know? Speak up.
She's got a fishtail instead of legs.
You dare to joke?
Stand here and take it, big man. You asked for it. Make a move and I'll drop you.
I know what you are, Marlowe, but not how much you have found out. Now tell me, because the next time I slap you, it will carry more weight than my bare hand, I promise.
You have company, Paradise.
Should I get it?
No, you keep this baboon under control, Rudy. I will answer the door. Oh, Prince, come in.
Paradise, what do you think? How far do you think you can go with my reputation? Do you want to get me hanged?
Wife, what is the matter, Constantine? You are upset.
Upset? I'm out of my mind. Oh, what a shock. And such a stupid thing for you to do.
What are you raving about?
He found that body on his front room floor, right, Constantine?
Exactly. Precisely. And what is more, I did not put it there. Of all the places in the world, why did you pick this one? Paradise, who is this? This stranger here?
If you would close your mouth and open your eyes more often, Prince Constantine, you would not be the nervous wreck you are. This is Mr. Marlowe, another snooper.
Another one. Paradise, listen to me. It's better if we quit. It's better if we don't try it tonight. It's out of hand. I don't like it now. We should get away and come back next year and do it.
You jellyfish, there is nothing to worry about now. Insurance investigators often work in pairs. Is that not so, Marlowe?
Your pitch, round man. You don't need any help from me.
You are so right. Rudy and I caught the first at your place, Constantine. Now we have the second one here. That is all there are. The danger is over. It's clear sailing from now on.
But what about that cadaver you had the audacity to leave lying in my seance room? What about that?
Forgive me, Constantine. That was a necessity. I am sorry. Now listen.
Hey, Rudy. This go on all the time?
Yeah. Ain't it awful?
And think of all the champagne, caviar, and buffalo stroganoff you can buy with the mermaid.
I don't care.
Just a bracelet, but at the same time it is $75,000 worth of diamonds and platinum.
Oh, okay, Paradise. I trust you. Now, we go, huh? My, guitar.
Yes, Prince. The Gnazdo it is.
Mr. Paradise. What should I do with the big boy here?
Yeah, you're kind of leaving a loose end around, aren't you, Fatty?
If I had the time, Marlowe, I would beat the arrogance out of you a little chunk at a time. Rudy.
Yeah?
You've got no initiative, but you do have imagination. So use it. Goodbye, Marlowe.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, it's a big break in entertainment for you and a big break in a career for some talented youngsters when Horace Height's original Youth Opportunity Program opens the door to fame and fortune every Sunday evening on CBS. Popular Horace Height is host to young folks who want to break into show business. And every Sunday evening, one lucky winner does break in, to his delight and your listening pleasure. Yes, for music, comedy, thrills, and all-around fun. Listen to Horace Height Sunday evenings. another great CBS show heard over most of these same stations.
Tune in this fall for the shows that you love best of all.
Listen carefully.
Here's the address. It's CBS.
Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Tale of the Mermaid.
When Louis Paradise hesitated at the door, snarled the suggestion that this henchman used his imagination in disposing of me, and left in lockstep with the white Russian screwball, I got the point. But even if I'd missed it entirely, one look into Brother Rudy's eyes would have done the trick. There were no pupils, just slits of lethal viciousness. Windows to his warped little mind where I could practically see the montage going on. That ran from ancient thumbscrews by candlelight up to a generous beating by street lamp with brass knucks. I felt a cold knot grow in the pit of my stomach as Rudy, with a cannon in his hand, pointed at my head, started toward me. And from someplace outside, I got a break. Two romantic cats. Rudy spun toward the sound. One chance to a customer, Rudy, and you missed.
Kill you, Marlowe. I'll blow your head off.
Not tonight, gentle soul. Give it to me. I don't want you to hurt yourself until we've had a chance to talk. That's it. Now, lie down. I knew there was some reason why I like cats, their voices. Okay, Rudy, you've had enough rest. Now let's get back to business.
Now, wait a minute.
Come on, get up. We're going to talk.
Wait, hold it, please. No reason for any more rough stuff. I'll cooperate.
That's better. Where did Paradise and His Highness head for? The Ganazdo. Where is it?
I don't know.
Come on, you said there was no reason for rough stuff, remember?
Ow! Yeah, I remember. That Ganazdo, that's something I never heard of.
An unhappy coincidence, Rudy. It's one thing I'm interested in.
Wait. Must be something else you want to know. Something else I could tell you that... Hey, what are you going to do?
You mean you can't tell, Rudy? That's
Keep
funny.
away.
All it takes is a little imagination. With Rudy out of the way, I started through the place looking for all-important answer to what was the Ganazdo. The 20 minutes of turning drawers and closets inside out revealed nothing more exciting than Louis Paradise's address book. First names only. And a picture of a girl named Toodles who belonged to the Roaring Twenties. And by this time should have caught a death of cold. His sister, no doubt. But no lead on the Ganazdo. So on the slim chance that my client Stanley Ott might already be back in this world and able to help, I got outside into my car and drove to the first drugstore where, after checking the phone books under everything from bars to bathhouses for a Ganazdo and getting no place, I called Corey Riggs at the nurse's home.
No, Marlowe. Stanley Ott's still unconscious. I just talked to the night nurse on his floor. They expect him to come out of it soon. Why? What happened?
Well, it's too much to explain now, Corey, but that girl, the one in the plaid coat, I found out that her name's Evelyn Van Owen, and she's staying at the Surf Hotel. Now, see if that much checks with Ott when he comes to, will you?
All right.
Oh, also, there's a diamond-studded item called the Mermaid, which accounts for that $75,000 he mentioned. Now, Constantine and the pier now equal a phony Russian prince who runs a spook palace out on the old Venice pier. Now, you got all that?
Uh-huh.
Good. Now, look, honey, listen real hard. Before Ott passed out, did he by any chance say the word Ganazdo?
Ganazdo?
Yeah.
No. What does it mean?
I don't know. I think it's the name of a place.
Oh, have you checked the phone book?
Yeah. It's no dice, Corey. Also, I checked one Mr. Louis Paradise, who you might mention...
Marlowe, wait a minute.
What's the
Hold
matter?
wire, will you? There's a girl here, one of the nurses, who's trying to tell me something.
Oh.
It's the Ganazdo, Marlowe. Shh, wait a minute. She knows something about it here. It's Rosemary. You talk to her.
Hello.
You want to know what Gnazdo means?
Yeah.
Well, it's Russian, like Pashlamaya Gnazdo.
Oh, is that so? Well, what does it mean in English, Rosemary? Fast, please. It's important.
Well, that means let's go to my place. Gnazdo's the word for nest, sort of like cozy apartment or cottage.
My place, nest. You sure of that?
Well, I'm positive. I was an army nurse in the war, and I spent 2 years in Germany after the shooting part was over. 2 years, a half a block away from the Russian zone.
That's close enough. Thanks a million, Rosemary.
Oh, don't mention it. Here's Corey.
Oh.
That do it, Marlowe?
Yeah, I think so. At any rate, unless I'm way off base, it's where both the Mermaid and all parties concerned are going to rendezvous at 2 a.m. That's less than a half hour from now. The Prince's place on the pier. I want to be early, so goodbye, Corey. I'll call again when I know more. Yeah, and give my everlasting love to girlfriend Rosemary. She always show a peach. There was still a few parts missing, the way there always are. As I drove fast for the old Venice Pier and added as I went along, it came out something like the theme of paradise and Prince Whatchamacallit ready, willing, and able to pay $75,000 for a piece of jewelry that one Evelyn Van Owen now owned. A mermaid, which according to the data I'd found on the insurance man's body had once been stolen from Evelyn's late uncle. But I left it there when my rear view mirror said a long gray sedan that had been tagging me discreetly for the last 3 blocks. Now being indelicate about it and closing fast. The driver was old pal Rudy, and as he came abreast, he headed for me.
All right. You're okay, Mac. Don't you worry about a thing. We'll have you out of there in a minute. Hey, can't you knock out that horn?
Knock out the horn, is it? What do you think we're trying to do? It ain't so easy getting my hand past the printed hood. You know?
Oh.
Well, that's better.
Hey, cabby, what'd I hit?
Well, in order of their appearance, Mac, your car into a telephone pole, and then you into your dashboard.
Yeah, you're sure lucky you bounced off the curb first. Rode you down plenty. Oh, hey, here comes the argument.
Yeah.
Look at the roll.
Not for me. I'm all right. Hey, come on, cabby, help me out of this, will you?
Sure, that's what we're trying to do, but don't you worry, the ambulance ain't for you. For the guy that sideswiped you and then tried to get away. I seen what happened, and I went after him in my cab. He turned into a dead end, no less, trying to shake me. Ooh, is he a mess? But I guess he'll live all right. Hey, what you got against you anyhow, Mac?
Just my life. Listen, your cab's still all right?
Sure, there's someplace you gotta go.
There is. The old Venice Concessions Pier, my friend, and the sooner the better. Come on. Maybe my head against the dashboard was exactly what I needed. Because right then and there, the method of Rudy's handiwork made me think of an angle that I'd neglected almost completely. My unconscious client had not wanted me to get the Mermaid or the $75,000, but to stop Evelyn from keeping her rendezvous, which at this point I figured could mean but one thing. It was exactly 2 o'clock when the cab slammed to a stop near the pier. And I piled out and ran onto the empty, fog-dampened planking that led to Prince Constantine's shack. Nothing but mist moved over the pier. No unusual sound broke the pattern of waterfront noises. And I thought momentarily that I was still in time to prevent what Stanley Out somehow knew was going to happen. That Louis Paradise and his eccentric sidekick intended to get the Mermaid from Evelyn, but pay off in only one way. I ran to the rear of the shack on stilts and got close to the half-open door where I could see and hear and found out just what I'd expected. In the storeroom, spread out and very still on the oil-soaked planks that were a makeshift floor, was the lifeless form of a girl who, according to the plaid coat she wore, was the late Evelyn Van Owen. And kneeling close to a gun in one hand, the sparkling mermaid in the other, was her executioner, Louis Paradise. Next to him, his number 1 boy, Prince Constantine Chevnov, not very happy.
A fool to shoot her was stupid.
Yes. $75,000, stupid. Or would you have preferred that I pay Miss Van Owen in cash? I had to kill her.
Yes, Paradise, but the gun, so much noise. We can't afford to attract attention.
There's 2 corpses on hand. I should say not, Prince. They don't try it, Louis.
Oh, the mermaid. The space between the boards. The mermaid. Oh.
It's in the water, Chevnov. Shame.
Yeah. Yes, it's a shame. We did so much. Worked so hard.
Yeah. Killed so often. Gonna run for it, Your Highness?
Run? Nah. No, Paradise is dead here. Without Paradise, I'm not so brave. I will do as you say.
Keep quiet. Don't make a sound, Chevnov. We got company.
Quiet!
Pardon me. Can you please tell me where Louis Paradise can be found?
It's Louis Paradise there. Who are you?
Evelyn Van Owen.
What? Van Owen?
Oh.
The woman who was supposed to sell the Mermaid to Paradise?
That's right. But on my way over here, just after I left my hotel, somebody struck me, knocked me out. He took my coat there and my purse and ran.
Your purse with a mermaid, no doubt.
Yes.
And that, Miss Van Owen, makes this angle shooter here. Yeah. The very dead nurse, Corey Riggs. Let's get out of here.
Well, there's nothing to worry about, Miss Van Owen. Stanley's going to be all right.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Why is it women always cry when they're so happy?
I don't know, but it's effective. Well, I'll run along now. Goodbye.
Bye, Doctor.
Bye. You know, Mr. Marlowe, when I was in Stanley's room with the doctor, Stan said he didn't lose control of his car at all when he had that accident in front of your place. He was run off the road
By a gray sedan, I know. Because I had the same treatment. One of Louis Paradise's henchmen, Rudy. Where's your car, honey? I'll walk you out.
Just outside the front door.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, did I tell you why Rudy roughed him up?
Yes, in a way. You see, I told Stanley about the deal with the mermaid, and he thought it all sounded a little phony.
Can't understand why.
He's a lawyer, you know.
Ah, legal type mind.
He said meeting anyone at 2 a.m. was ridiculous, so he investigated as much as he could because he was worried about me. We're engaged, you
No,
know.
I never would have guessed.
And he found out that Mr. Paradise was a fence. And Stan said that probably he never intended to give me the $75,000 for the mermaid at all. That they intended to kill me.
Here we are. Tell me, why did you get in touch with Paradise in the first place?
I was just following Uncle Otis's instructions.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me the mermaid when he was dying. And he told me if I wanted money to sell it only to a Mr. Paradise, but not to mention it to anyone.
Your uncle faked a robbery, collected the insurance money, and then let you sell the mermaid to a fence, huh? It's lucky for you that Nurse Corey Riggs was clever. She put together just enough of Otis's gibberish to know that there was something good to be had, and then got me to unravel it for her.
She got killed taking my place.
When she tried to collect your $75,000.
Yeah. Oh, here's my car.
Well, Evelyn, for a little while you were a rich woman. Now it's all gone. How do you feel?
Well, I'm alive. And in love.
Yes, well, that answers my question. Good night, baby. And good luck. When I left the hospital, I wandered back to the old Venice Pier in Prince Constantine's Nasdo. It was 5 a.m, and the police had finished cleaning the place up. But the word had gotten out. A crowd had gathered. They always do. Curious, restless, sordid crowd, equipped with everything from grappling hooks to homemade diving helmets, all climbing over each other for a chance to fish for the mermaid. She who had brought death to 3 people, injury to 2 others in the course of one night. And suppose they found her. What then? A lot of glittering pieces of white coal set in a metal frame we call precious. Look at the suckers grab. That's all, Marlowe. Home and to bed.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman McDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Rita Lynn, John Daner, Michael Ann Barrett, Wilms Herbert, Junius Matthews, Herb Vigran, and Mark Lawrence. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Orant. Be sure and be with us next week when Philip Marlowe says...
It started with a terrified woman lost in a maze of memories she couldn't explain. And waiting for her outside an open window was death.
Another show has joined the CBS Sunday Night Parade. It's The Contented Hour, starring Buddy Clark and featuring the finest in popular and semi-classical music. It comes to you on most of these CBS stations for the first time tomorrow night, making its debut on CBS the same night as Red Skelton and Edgar Bergen and Charles McCarthy. Yes, this fall, you hear them all on CBS. This is Paul Masterson speaking. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tournament, your faithful friend with muscles ache and pain, presents Gangbusters. Gangbusters, brought to you, the men and women of America, by the makers of Sloan's Liniment. With the cooperation of leading law enforcement officials of the United States, Gangbusters presents facts in the relentless war of the police on the underworld. Authentic case histories that show the never-ending activity of the police in their work of protecting our citizens. America's crusade against crime.
Now, for those of you who are familiar with the name Schwarzkopf, just an editorial note, and we'll get right back to the program. Colonel Schwarzkopf, who oftentimes interviews the lawman who brings in the story to Gangbusters, is, of course, in actuality, the father of H. Norman Schwarzkopf, General of the United States Army. And so this is kind of interesting to hear him portrayed, his father portrayed as a law enforcer. And also interesting, there's the character of the lawman, a sheriff, a judge who comes on the program, Judge Miller, is played by none other than Bill Johnstone, who about the same time was playing The Shadow on the Mutual Network. So there's a couple of interesting voices to listen for here.
Now for our proxy interview between Colonel Schwarzkopf and Judge L.D. Miller of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Picture our setting as a special office turned over to Gangbusters by Commissioner Louis J. Valentine of the New York City Police. Colonel Schwarzkopf.
Judge Miller, I understand that Charleston and Rogers, the Nickle and Dime Bandits, were hunted by the police of 6 states.
Yes, Colonel Schwarzkopf. Actually, 8 different police departments were after them within a period of 30 days.
But why do you call these particular criminals the Nickle and Dime Bandits?
Well, Colonel, James Carlson, the brains of the combination, had a theory of crime different from any criminal in all my experience.
I got a new slant on stick-ups that'll pay big dividends. I'm going to get me a smart partner that knows how to use a cat. Then we're going to go through the Mississippi Valley pulling little jobs, nickel and dime jobs. When we pulled enough of these nickel and dime jobs, we'll have just as much jack as if we'd stuck up a dozen big banks.
On December 4th, 1939, following a term at Minnesota State Reformatory, Charleston drove up to a roadside tavern near Minneapolis. The owner was talking to a customer.
Be right with you, mister. Anything else, sir?
Oh, that'll be all, Bill.
Charge it, will you? With a fancy car like that, you want me to charge it?
No fancy. Right behind you, pal. Turn around.
What?
Look out, Bill. He's got a gun.
A special kind of gun, mister, with a hair trigger. Come on, both of you. Back up into that hot dog joint before I turn this cannon loose on you. I want your dough.
Oh, I got some change.
Give it to me.
Here you are.
Now, you. Open up that cash register.
Here. $35. It's all I got.
I know it ain't. Scoop out that change and stick it in my pocket.
Nickels and dimes, huh? I'd like to see you for 5 minutes without that gun. Here's a change.
Thanks, wise guy.
Now get out of here.
Not so fast, you. Empty your pockets.
Pretty brave, aren't you, with a gun?
Yeah, and it's liable to go off any minute.
No sawed-off punk's gonna take my dough. I warned you, wise guy. Bill! You're not getting away from me. I'll show you. Give me that gun. You're all through, son.
Let go of me.
You hurt?
Let go of me.
Yeah, I guess so. Pretty bad. I dropped all 3 of those bullets, but I got his gun. You're going to need a doctor. What do we do with this guy? Lock him in the washroom. You make it all right? Yeah, sure. I got the special gun, you rat. Yeah. Give me back my money.
All right. Here you are.
Oh, come on, you into the washroom.
You'll never get me to jail.
Inside, punk.
Okay, wise guy.
I'll lock it and then phone the police. Better get an ambulance, Bill. You're bleeding bad. Hello, operator. Get me the police. Sit down, Bill. What's that? The washroom window. There. Out front. There he goes. He's in his car. Stop, or I'll shoot. Oh, it's jammed. That guy's special pistol jammed and saved his own life.
It is rare, Judge Miller, for the victim to turn on his assailant at gunpoint and disarm him.
It is, Colonel. Fortunately, the wounds of the tavern owner were not serious. Johnson made a dash for Chicago, where he went into partnership with another criminal named Joe Rogers. Together, they stole a late model car and started south, blazing a trail of robberies from Illinois to Louisiana. On the night of December 17th in Blytheville, Arkansas, Charleston and Rogers committed an unusual robbery, showing a peculiar obsession.
Blytheville, Arkansas, robbery. 2 men broke into a house and stole a large collection of pistols, automatics, shotguns, and rifles. Seen escaping in blue or black Dodge sedan. Notify all gun dealers to be on lookout for unusual weapons of foreign make.
A few days later, Colonel, Charleston and Rogers were in Minneapolis, waiting in a stolen new Buick sedan across the street from a small apartment house.
Boy, this is the life, huh, Rogers? You said it, Charleston. Cops and newspapers screaming about us from here to New Orleans. Nothing for us to do but sit back and take it easy.
I'd sure like a drink right now.
Yeah, so would I. Wish that baby of yours would hurry up.
It's only 11:10. I told her to sneak out at 15:15.
She made up her mind to come with us?
Hope so. You know me, Rogers. Wine, woman, and song.
Yeah, I know. But when are we going to quit this small-time stuff and go after something big?
Like what?
Banks.
Forget it, Rogers. Knock over a bank and every cop in the state's after you.
Just think of the dough we could pick up in banks. All we've been getting the places you pick is chicken feed. Nothing but nickels and dimes.
There's nothing you can't buy with nickels and dimes, Rogers. If you got enough of them.
Sure, but we could...
There's no buts to it. It adds up, see? And the rap for little jobs is nothing like it is for a bank.
But in one bank job, we...
Listen, sap.
Hey, take it easy, will you?
Banks have guards, and the guards have guns and tear gas. They have balconies to ambush bank bandits. They have burglar alarms to call the cops. Don't you see, we can get as much in a flock of gas stations as we could in a dozen banks. And no risk.
Maybe you're right.
The way I figure it...
Hold it, Charleston. Here comes your girlfriend.
Oh. Hello, baby.
Hello, Jim. Gee, I'm glad to see you.
You and me both. Get in the car.
Okay.
It's my pal, Joe Rogers.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
How are you?
Oh, what's up? Where are we going?
We're going south, kid. How'd you like to go with us?
South? Oh, gee, I'd love to, but what about my folks?
Send them a postcard.
Yeah.
Just say, having a wonderful time. I wish you were here.
Hey, what are you guys going to do?
We got special ideas. Swell clothes, good liquor, and plenty to keep us busy. What do you say?
I say, what are we waiting for?
Baby, you're going to be perfect. Let's go, Rogers.
Where to?
Back to New Orleans, where it's nice and warm. But we're going to make some stops on the way. And where we stop, nobody's ever going to forget us. This will be a joyride to remember.
That was near midnight, Colonel, on December 21st, 1939. 3 days later, Chief C.R. Bryan of the Chattanooga, Tennessee Police was sitting in his office when Police Captain Homer Edmondson walked in with a message in his hand.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Chief Bryan. This just came in on the teletype. Thought you'd like to look at it.
Some sweet one, huh?
Yes, sir. Arrest 2 men wanted here for robbery of roadside cafe this morning, 3 a.m. One man about 20, weight 150, blue eyes, light hair. Another one, older, weight about 140, dark hair, slender. Both bandits wearing leather jackets.
That's a pretty complete description, Chief.
These bandits took $60 in currency, cigarettes, liquor, and a large amount of nickels and dimes. They're heavily armed. Large amount of nickels and dimes. That sounds familiar.
You're right, Captain. This is the 6th report in the last few days that used those exact words.
Yes, and each report was near Chattanooga. Have you broadcast this message to the patrol cars?
Yes, sir. Right after it came in.
Send it out again, Captain. This is the first good description we've had of those men. If they try anything here, I want every man on the force to be waiting for them.
Right, Chief.
Wait a second. Chief Barnes speaking.
Send some cops over quick, Chief. I've just been robbed.
Who's this?
Jack Parker. I got a filling station at Maid and Watkins. I just opened up 10 minutes ago and 2 guys walked in and...
Hold on a minute. Captain, there's been a holdup over at Maid and Watkins, a filling station. Send a patrol car over there right away.
Right away, Chief.
Go ahead, Mr. Parker. What happened?
These 2 guys walked in, Chief. They both wore leather jackets. They had 4 guns between them and they cleaned out the cash register.
How much they get?
$7. Almost all small change.
Nickels and dimes, huh?
Well, I know it don't sound like much, Chief, but it's a lot to me.
Mr. Parker, I don't care if it was 7 cents or $7 million. If these bandits are the men I think they are, they're going to try to pull some more jobs like this here in Chattanooga, and we're going to get them.
The next afternoon, Colonel, the woman manager of a small dry goods store in Chattanooga saw 2 men, apparently customers, walking into her store.
Now, help you, gentlemen?
Yeah, let me see some shirts. The best you got. And I want to see some socks and ties.
Certainly, right over here. What size shirt, sir?
15 collar, 34 sleeve. And I want size 11 socks.
Here they are. Just take your pick.
That's just what we're going to do, sister. Stick 'em up.
Hold up.
Take it easy, sister. One peep out of you and I'll drill you.
Please.
Get down on the floor behind our counter. And don't move if you want to live.
Yes,
Pretty fancy-looking socks, pal. Get some for me. What kind of shirts you getting? Silk. The most expensive I can find.
Please.
Fast. Okay. These here look swell. Green silk. You ready, pal? Yeah, let's go. Hey, sister, where's your cash register?
There in back of the counter. But there's only a...
I know. There's only a little change. That's what they all say. How much, pal? $10 and about 5 and change. Thanks for the service, lady. We'll be sure to tell our friends about you. And remember, sister, if you move off that floor before we're out of this store, it'll be the last time you ever move.
Exactly 44 minutes later, Colonel, in a Chattanooga liquor store on the other side of town.
Will that be all, gentlemen? Just the 3 bottles of whiskey?
No, that ain't all, mister. Reach for the ceiling.
What do you want?
Don't shoot him, pal. The cops might hear you get. All right? Keep him covered.
And what are you going to do?
I'm going to teach you not to be so nosy. That'll teach you to ask me what I want.
Now, please, don't kick me again.
Come on, pal. Let's get out of here. Get the dough. Okay. Take everything, even the small change. How much is it? Yeah, there's about $90 here. Hey, here's something else, pal. A nice new gat for your collection. Say, not so bad. Different from any I got. Maybe I ought to try it out on this wise guy.
No, please.
Okay, mister, but just so you won't run after us, here's something more to remember his butt.
Oh.
That brutal holdup was the third the nickel and dime bandits committed in the heart of Chattanooga within 24 hours, Colonel. It redoubled the efforts of the police to catch Charleston and Rogers and resulted in a gun battle that Chattanooga will long remember. Law enforcement officers within a radius of 50 miles of Chattanooga cooperated. At a special meeting of police representatives at the office of Chief C.R. Bryant, all possible angles were discussed.
Fortunately, men, we have a complete description of these 2 bandits and definite identification clues.
What are they, Chief Bryan?
Well, first, Sussman, there's the nickel and dime angle. So anyone seen spending an unusual amount of silver is a definite suspect. Then there's the gun angle.
The gun angle?
It's this, Frazier. These men are crazy about guns. They take pride in them. Not just as weapons, but as items to collect.
So the bandits might just show off their guns sometime without staging a holdup, huh?
Particularly if they've been drinking.
And that's still another clue, Chief Bryan. The amount of liquor they consume, judging by the amount they've stolen. And the girl with them. The one that's been seen in their car. Now, we have her description.
All right, Captain Edmondson. These are all valuable clues, men. And we have one other advantage.
From what these bandits have said to their victims, they don't expect the police to go after them seriously.
Just because the thefts have been relatively small, huh?
Exactly.
That gives me an idea, Chief.
What is it, Edmondson?
Maybe we can get these bandits through a weakness in their own system.
How, Captain?
Let's give these clues to every reliable citizen in the vicinity of Chattanooga. Every small storekeeper. Then when the bandits do show up again, they'll be spotted immediately.
Good
I
idea.
like it.
Yeah. Well, then it's understood every available man is to stay on duty till these bandits are behind bars. I want them in custody before somebody gets killed.
Within 1 hour after that meeting, Colonel, merchants, filling station employees, liquor store proprietors, business people all over Chattanooga were planning to cooperate with the police.
Cooperate with police? Listen, I'm staying right here at the store. If those bandits come back this way, I'm going to be ready for them.
If those nickel and dime crooks come anywhere near me, I'm going to call the police. I'll know them if I ever see them again.
I'll be glad to cooperate. I've got a score to settle with those rats, and I'd like to see them both behind bars. If they ever come into my place, I'll...
Nickels and dimes, eh? I get it. If those buzzards stick their noses in my place, I'll be waiting for them. You can count on me.
That night, Colonel, December 26, 1939, at the Rock Castle Roadhouse, 10 miles west of Chattanooga, the cashier, Bill Raper, was standing behind his counter.
Hey, you, cashier.
Yes,
Come
sir?
on. I want a bottle of whiskey.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We're not allowed to sell liquor in bottles, except for guests of Rock Castle.
I'm a guest here. Me and my pal are in one of the cabins right next door.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sure. Here you are. That'll be $165, please.
You'll have to take it in change.
Change?
Fistful, buddy. Here.
25, 50, $10, 20, 30, 55, 65. Right. Thank you, sir.
You bet it's right. Say, what are you staring at?
Oh, why,
See anything wrong with me?
No, I was just thinking what a good-looking green silk shirt you have on.
Oh, that. Yeah. Yeah, it is good looking. Everything I got's good looking. Look at this.
Hey, what?
Don't be scared. I ain't going to use it on you.
Boy, that's some pistol.
Bet your life it is. Special automatic. Only one like it in the country.
Yes, sir. Well, is there anything else you want?
Yeah, sure. I almost forgot. Give me some of those box lunches you got, huh?
How many?
Let's see now. 3.
Here they are. Do you want me to carry them for you?
Yeah, that's right. I'm getting a little rocky.
Hey, Joe, take over, will you? Okay. I'll be right back. Let's go, sir. So which cabin is it?
Second one on the left.
This the cabin?
Yeah, I'll knock. Hey, open up. Come on, open up. It's me. Come on.
Pipe down, will you?
Come on, let me in. Where's Faith?
I reckon I'll be getting along, mister.
Yeah, sure. See you later, mister. Good night.
Yeah, I'll see you later. Operator, get me the police.
Police headquarters, Chief Bryan speaking.
Chief, listen, this is Bill Raper out at Rock Castle.
Yes, Bill?
Those 2 nickel and dime crooks you're looking for, they're here.
How do you know?
I'm positive, Chief. Every single clue you give me. The nickels and dimes, the guns, the liquor, everything checks.
Did you notice a car?
Yes, sir. It's a big, black, new 1940 Buick.
Where are they?
In a cabin right next door.
How many?
3 of them, sir. 2 men and a girl.
That's what I call fine cooperation, Bill. Sit tight and don't say a word to anyone. I'll send an emergency squad out there right away.
15 minutes later, Colonel, Captain Homer Edmondson, with a group of picked men from the Chattanooga Police Force, including Detective Shipley and Carson, met members of the county uniformed police under Captain Dyer outside the Rock Castle Roadhouse. The cashier, Bill Raper, was waiting for them.
Which cabin are they in, Mr. Raper?
That one with the lights on, Captain Edmondson.
All right, men. Sussman and Fraser, you stick with me.
All right, Captain.
Now, we'll go to the front of the house. Shipley, you and Carson cover the back with Captain Dyer. You got that?
Right, Captain.
What's our plan, Captain? Simply to close in and get those bandits. We can't start shooting till we're absolutely sure these are the men we want. But if they show the slightest resistance, open fire with riot guns immediately. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Watch it. They turned out the lights. Better stand back. I'll knock. Open up.
Who is it?
Police.
Just a minute.
Hurry it up.
All right, coppers. Come and get it.
Get back, man. Captain, just listen to those bullets bounce.
All right, men, open up with your riot guns.
Right, Captain.
Get down low, babe. Those cops are using riot guns.
We'll fix them, Jimmy. I'll load your pistol.
Roger.
Yeah?
Cover the back door. I'll cover the front.
Okay, Charleston.
Come on, coppers. Try and take it.
You'd better give up in there. You're surrounded.
We'll give up hot lead. Give me another gat, babe. This one's empty.
Here you are, Jimmy.
How is it in the back, Rogers?
Can't see him. It's too dark out there.
Well, they're all around us, Jimmy.
Keep down, babe.
Oh.
Babe, you hit.
Oh, my head.
Told you to keep down. All right, coppers. You got my gal. I'll show you can't get away with that. Charleston, there's a copper creeping up in the back. You cover the front, Rogers. I'll get that cop. He's coming right up to the back door.
What are you going to do, Jimmy?
Shut up, babe. I'm running this show.
Open your hands, all three of you.
I'm waiting for you, cop.
Jimmy, you killed him.
I'll say I killed him. I got his gun, too.
Jimmy, they got Rogers.
Lie down on the floor, babe. I'll get him for that. All right, coppers. I got one of you. Who's next?
Yes, Fraser?
They killed Shipley.
Shipley? How?
He broke in the back door, shot down before he had a chance.
Ah, the dirty dogs. Give me a rat gun, Fraser.
Yes, sir.
Mine's empty. Captain, I'm going after him. Now, wait, don't go up there. It's probably a trap.
There goes one of them out the side door.
Stop or I'll fire.
He's running for the woods.
I can't see him.
There, between those big trees.
Missed him.
It's so dark I can't see.
Oh, we'll never find him in this darkness. What will we do, Captain? He might be hurt. Dyer, you and Carson follow him. I am going to get some bloodhounds.
What's the matter with the dogs, Captain? Why are they stopping? Too dark for them?
I'm afraid they lost the trail, Fraser.
What, after we've followed that bandit for almost 8 miles?
It's all right, Sussman. Those bloodhounds have told me just what I want to know.
That'll get you, Captain.
For the last 2 miles, the bandits' trail has followed right along these railroad tracks.
That's right. But now we've lost it. I can't see what that
We're
is.
headed toward Chattanooga, not away from it. Doesn't that mean anything to you men?
You mean you thought maybe the bandit would jump a freight away from Chattanooga?
No, Sussman. I thought he'd head for Chattanooga, but I couldn't be sure. Now I know he's gone back to the city, where we can lay our hands on him.
With one of the nickel and dime bandits, Joe Rogers, dead, Colonel, and the bandit's girlfriend in a prison hospital, the Chattanooga police combed the city for the remaining bandit, now definitely identified as James Charleston. Later that night, after visiting hundreds of rooming houses, 2 police officers, Patrolman Fraser and Sussman, climbed the stairs of a cheap rooming house an hour after midnight.
What number did the landlady say, Fraser?
Room 6.
Yeah. It's room number 6, right up there at the head of the stairs.
Yeah. Landlady said her new boarder arrived an hour ago.
Have your gun ready?
Bet I will, Sussman. You turn on your flashlight. I'll try the door.
Right.
Door's unlocked.
That's lucky. Careful now. Easy. There, he's in bed.
Sound asleep.
Wonder if he's a guy we want.
He's pretty young for a bandit. Let's make sure, Sussman. Pull down the covers.
A pistol there in his right hand.
And another one next to him.
He's starting to wake up. Grab him.
I'm with you.
Look on. I didn't do nothing.
I got him, Fraser. Put the bracelets on him.
Charleston, you're all through.
You cops are crazy. I'm not the guy you want.
Oh, you're all right, Fraser. Let's see those 2 guns.
That don't prove nothing, copper. I didn't kill nobody.
I like guns, see? I collect them.
Yeah? Well, this is one gun you never should have collected, Charleston. It's the gun you took from Detective Shipley after you killed him. And it's the last gun you're ever going to collect.
And so, Colonel Schwarzkopf, through splendid police work and excellent citizen cooperation, the criminal activities of James Charleston came to an abrupt end. Placed on trial in my court for robbery and murder on February 27th, 1940, he was quickly found guilty. I sentenced him to life imprisonment in the Tennessee State Penitentiary. He's there at this very moment.
And what happened to the girl who was with Charleston and Rogers, Judge Miller?
For months, she hovered between life and death with a bullet touching her brain. The doctor said her mental faculties would be impaired indefinitely, and under the circumstances, she was freed in the custody of her parents.
Thank you, Judge Miller, for a fine case. I'm particularly pleased with the way you brought out the great value of public cooperation with the authorities. When the police thus frankly solicit help from our law-abiding citizens, and those citizens promptly and comprehensively cooperate, no criminal can escape. Every time the police and the people work together, the end is inevitable. Crime does not pay.
And now, the clues.
Special bulletin, all citizens. Watch for murderer 24, 5 feet 5 inches, 135 pounds. Dark brown hair slicked back, brown eyes. This man with tall, sandy-haired companion having wrinkled face. Wanted for brutal murder several days ago. Refrigeration engineer near San Antonio, Texas. May be traveling in black Ford station wagon. And may have in possession a .44 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver with cedar handle.
Warning, citizens of Pennsylvania. Be on lookout for man 28, 5 feet 8 inches, 160 pounds, brown hair, gray eyes, occupation farmer. This man wanted in connection with feud slaying last week, Indian Head section of Fayette County, Pennsylvania.
If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. For Sloan's Liniment next week, the case of the missing corpse. Here reenacted for the first time, the inside factual account of one of the most fantastic cases in all criminology. Learn how a dead man faced his murderer. Sloan's Liniment brings you one of Philip H. Lord's most astounding dramatizations in America's Crusade against crime.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the United States Air Force. Story is entitled Wings for a Tiger, the story of aviation cadets. Proudly we hail Aviation Cadet Ned Jensen and all the aviation cadets of the United States Air Force Air Training Command. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first...
This is for the young college man who's looking for the chance of a lifetime. Be an aviation cadet pilot with the United States Air Force. It isn't easy to qualify as an aviation cadet, and it isn't easy to win your silver wings. You'll be working hard. You'll be called upon to use your initiative and intelligence. But when you're commissioned an Air Force lieutenant and start out earning more than $5,000 a year, you'll find it was all worth the effort. If you're between 19 and 26 and a half and single and can otherwise measure up, there's a chance you can qualify as an aviation cadet. Visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today and see if your future lies in the sky.
And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly rehailed production, Wings for a Tiger.
Come on, Tiger. Let's hit the deck. Every man a tiger. Snore, snore.
Hey, Liz. Hey, buddy, you going to chow down?
I'll straggle over later.
Hey, but you got to make formation.
Negative. No more formation for me.
Oh, well, don't panic, buddy. Is there anything I can do? Anything at all?
Nothing anyone can do.
I'll see you later then.
Come on, you miserable, wobble-headed turkey cat. Go on.
When you're an aviation cadet, every day starts the same. Reveille, breakfast formation, then off to academics or the flight line. But you, aviation cadet Ned Jensen, you aren't heading anywhere. Anywhere but out of the program. You're a tiger. The Air Force made you a tiger. But you won't be getting your commission and silver wings because you're grounded. How did the flight surgeon put it?
I'm afraid that's it, Jensen. No more flying.
Well, my ear, it's healed some, hasn't it?
Not enough. You still can't hear with the left ear.
But it'll heal eventually, won't it?
May, it may not. We've waited 2 weeks now since you ruptured it. No real progress yet.
So now you're grounding me.
Well, I have to do it, Jensen.
Permanently?
If the eardrum should heal, you could apply for flight status again. Might happen.
But now? Why now? Only a few weeks before I'm supposed to get my wings.
If only you'd come to me when you first noticed that cold.
It didn't seem serious. It was only a slight head cold.
Yes, I know. You were too eager. Didn't want to be grounded even for 1 day to let the cold clear up.
Well, I wanted to be sure to graduate with my flight.
Well, now you know, son, the hard way. That's why we have the rules. No one flies with a cold.
Well, one thing's for certain. I'll always remember that split S in my last jet hop.
It could have been any rapid descent to rupture the eardrum.
But I can still hear with my other ear.
That's not enough. To fly in this Air Force, you've got to be in perfect working order. Perfect. Nothing less.
So this is it.
End of the line. Hold your left wrist up to your left ear.
Like this?
That's right. Now, when you can hear your wristwatch with that ear, then you can fly again. When and if.
Until then?
Until then, I do this. Your flight physical papers.
Not qualified for duty involving flight in aircraft. In other words, grounded.
Not qualified for duty involving flight in aircraft. Grounded.
Grounded. Wings clipped. So you lie in your bunk, hands clasped behind your head, staring at the ceiling, hour after hour, day after day, waiting for the inevitable. Orders that'll take you away, out of the aviation cadet program. Staring at the ceiling, you can hear, with 1/2 of the required perfect hearing, the sounds of your basic school, Williams Air Force Base. The insistent sounds of a busy air base under the hot Arizona sun. The jet trainers breaking out of formation overhead as they pitch out into the landing traffic pattern. And the cadet formation, maybe your flight, marching by the barracks outside, on their way to the flight line. All the sounds you can still hear.
Not qualified for duty involving flight in aircraft. Grounded.
Sounds that bring flashes of memories tumbling back, a kaleidoscope of the past 18 months. Memories unwanted but painfully welcome. Like pre-flight at Lackland Air Force Base outside of San Antonio. That's where it all started. You're a fourth classman, the lowest, and you wear a green name tag. You get up at 4:45. You jog everywhere you go in formation. Takeoff procedure for the T6 single-engine trainer is recited going upstairs, landing procedure on the way down. There's no hazing, but upperclassmen can and do brace you. Like the first time it happened. You're walking along with a fellow called Jackson. 3 days ago, you didn't know him. Today, he's your buddy. And before you can duck, there's an upperclassman, big as life and twice as loud.
Help yourselves, misters. You, mister, sound off.
Aviation Cadet Jensen, Ned R., 4th class, flight able.
Mister, give me the full pre-takeoff CIG FTPRS checklist.
Sir, controls, free and proper movement. Instruments in the green. Gas on reserve tank. Flaps up. Trim 11 and 3 o'clock. Prop full forward and checked. Run up 2100 RPM and mags checked. Shoulder harness locked. Sir.
Very good. And you, mister, sound off.
Aviation Cadet Jackson, Andrew M., 4th Class, Flight Able, Section 2.
Mister, how is a cow?
Sir, she walks, she talks, she's full of chalk. The lacteal fluid of the bovine species is highly prolific to the nth degree, sir.
Wipe that grin off your face, mister.
Yes, sir.
Mister, now can you tell me what time it is? With no grin.
Sir, I am greatly embarrassed and deeply humiliated, this due to circumstances beyond which I have no control, that the inner workings and hidden mechanisms of my chronometer are such in accord with the sidereal movement by which time is commonly reckoned that I cannot with any degree of accuracy state the exact time. However, without fear of being too far wrong, I will say that it is 13 minutes, 12 seconds, and 2 ticks past the 15th hour.
Mister, that is incorrect. Taxi to my room at 1800 hours with a proper answer.
Yes, sir.
And turn yourself in for a gig.
Yes, sir.
Carry on, mister.
What'd I say wrong, Ned?
Well, sir, you forgot to say sir at the end, meathead.
Oh, well, if that's not enough to gall you, stop.
Yes, some of it did gall your stomach, but you learned a lot. And all you learned in class and out had its purpose, to make you an officer, to make you Air Force. Then pre-flight is behind, and you're in primary at Goodfellow Air Force Base near San Angelo, Texas. This was what you signed up for. Flying. You're not green anymore, you're blue, Air Force blue, and you're impatient to fly. There are still classes, but they're really interesting now because they're leading to that T6 solo. You've had maybe 20 hours in a Piper Cub by now, but you don't count that. That big yellow T6 idling next to you, that is important. You're standing there one cool morning, proud in your flight suit and helmet and sunglasses, the chute's heavy against the back of your knees, earphones in hand, when your instructor says,
"Okay, Mr. Jensen, get the front seat."
Just what you've been waiting for. You clamber in and the instructor perches on the wing, leaning in to help you.
Okay, check your cockpit, mister.
Gas on. Trim tables for takeoff. Batteries switch on. Mixture control, idle cut off. Radio off.
All the things you've been taught in class.
Now, start the engine, mister.
You prime the engine, hit the starter switch, turn on the magneto switch, and the engine fires. You idle back on the throttle, turn your radio on, and check your engine instruments. Go through the before-taxi checklist. And then the instructor climbs in the back and calls you on the intercom.
How do you read me, mister?
Loud and clear, sir.
Good. Now, this is Air Force 485. Taxi and takeoff instructions.
485, you're clear to taxi, runway 29.
I want you to observe my technique for proper taxi. Always taxi slowly and test the airplane from side to side so you're sure there's nothing in front of you.
Then you're at the run-up position near the end of the runway, and you go through the pre-takeoff check.
See mobile control over there by the end of the runway and the trailer?
Roger, sir.
They're there for all landings and takeoffs.
Roger.
They just gave us a green light, so we're clear to take off.
And then you're doing it. Your instructor always in the back seat, shouting, coaxing, wheedling, congratulating. And after 15 hours, day after day, one special day, he climbs out of the back seat and standing on the wing, leans into your cockpit, and you look at him with astonishment in your eyes and stomach. Oh, this is just what you've been waiting for. And he says,
"Okay, mister, you're going to take it solo. All I want is 3 satisfactory landings. Stay in the traffic pattern, just you've been doing. I'll be on the ground here, watching at all times, and I'll give you the call over mobile control if you need any help. But you won't, boys. I know you can solo the plane. That's why I'm letting you go. It's all yours."
and he gives you the first smile you've ever seen on it, and you believe you really can do it. So you wait till he's on the ground, answer his waves, then pour the cold to it down the runway. Amazing. There's not much to it. You're too busy checking procedure and trying to remember everything at once to notice there's no one in the back seat. And then you do something wrong, drop a little altitude or a wingtip, and no one shouts at you from the back seat. For a second, you just take a deep breath, and then you feel for the first time like you're really flying.
You shoot your 3 landings and they come out. Nobody's squawking in the back seat and still they come out. That makes it exciting. You're doing it now, not being led by the hand. You'll never forget this first feeling of real flying. On the ground, you're the center of attention. They gunk you down with a hose and march you back in front of the squadron. And then at mess that night, you stand on your chair and flap your arms like a bird.
Hey, quiet! 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 At ease! At ease! At ease! At ease!
To all you dodos who have not been accorded the privilege of making like a bird alone, I soloed today. Auxiliary number 2.
What runway?
Runway 19.
What aircraft number?
Aircraft number 35. No, number 352.
How many takeoffs?
3.
How many landings?
3.
How many go-arounds?
No go-round.
From now on, your time in primary whizzes by. In the air, 130 hours of acrobatics, cross-country, night flying, and basic instruments. On the ground, classes in weather, navigation, engineering, radio communications, principles of flight. In 6 months, you're through primary, and you've learned enough to feel like a pretty hot pilot. Next up, basic. Williams Air Force Base outside of Phoenix, Arizona. That's where you'll start flying jets. There at Williams Field, Willie Air Patch. You stand your first day, mouth open, eyes gaping, as above a formation of planes roar over the field in tight, shining silver formation, pitch out into the landing traffic pattern, and single file their way in.
Jack, look at those airplanes. Oh, this is what we've been waiting for. Jets! Let me at them, buddy. Those jets are my meat.
You are listening to the proudly hailed production Wings for a Tiger. We'll return in just a moment for the second act.
If you're a single young man interested in aviation, there's no better way to learn while you earn than as an aviation cadet. Win your wings as a crew member of an Air Force plane. You'll graduate from your aviation cadet training as a commissioned officer. You'll be rated a pilot or an aircraft observer. If you become an aircraft observer, you'll be a specialist in a specific job: bombardier, navigator, electronics officer, or aircraft performance engineer. The specialized training at Air Force advanced schools will make it possible for you to work with the latest equipment. Where else can a healthy young college man find so much for his benefit? An exciting job with a challenge and more than $5,000 a year. Enlist today as an aviation cadet at your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station.
You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of Wings for a Tiger. It takes nearly 18 months to earn the wings and bars of an Air Force pilot, and just a few weeks short from graduation, you, Aviation Cadet Ned Jensen, are grounded with a ruptured eardrum. So you lie in your bunk, waiting for your orders out, and think back to the first day you arrived at Williams Air Force Base. It's here at Williams you fly your first jet, but not until you've had transition in a T-28. The T-28's the newest Air Force single-engine trainer, and it's a hot ship. Cruises at almost the speed of World War II fighters, so you take it all seriously. Night flying, navigation, acrobatics, formation, instruments. And then suddenly you're through with propeller ships. You're ready for jets. You stand next to one of the shiny T-33 two-seated versions of the Lockheed F-80 Shooting Star, and your instructor's saying,
"Well, mister, here she is. Your T-33 jet. Okay, up you go in the front seat. Okay, now I'll help you get her started. First, make sure you have a full supply of oxygen. We wear masks from the ground up.
Right. It reads 450 pounds on the gauge.
Okay, we're ready to start. Signal the crew chief to cut in the auxiliary power unit.
Okay, Chief.
Okay, hit your switches. Back on the throttle. Check all your instruments.
All okay and in the green.
Okay. Put on your helmet and plug in your oxygen mask and radio. All right. Yep. I'll get in the back seat and I'll give you a call.
Jensen, how do you read me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Now, you notice this interphone is what we call hot. You can hear everything I say, my breathing, and vice versa.
Right.
Okay, then, we taxi on out. Tower, this is 263. Taxi instructions.
263, taxi runway 12.
Okay, Jensen, the crew chief gave us a signal so we can go. Now, notice how I taxi. Always keep my momentum to make turns. Otherwise, you'll need excessive power. That's bad, because it blasts parts and mechanics all over the ramp. Needless to say, the chief don't enjoy being blown all over the landscape by careless pilots.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to lower the canopy now. Make sure your arms and elbows are clear of the rail.
Canopy clear, sir.
Okay, now we're at the end of the runway. We wait for a green light for mobile control.
Yes, she is.
Okay. Run up check and off we go. Set.
Roger.
Easing back gradually on the stick and she flies herself into the air at 110 knots.
Wow, look at us go.
Say again?
I just said wow.
Moving along, huh? When we get to 20,000, you won't notice the speed at all, though you'll be going faster than you ever been before, about 430 miles an hour.
So quiet. Almost eerie.
No prop, no noise, no vibration.
Whatever you felt in flying before is double now in this clean, sleek, powerful jet airplane. Your instructor shows you the area over to Tucson as a quick 15 minutes, 100 miles. After your orientation hop, you start shooting landings. And sure enough, one fine day, you hear those familiar words as your instructor gets out of the back seat and leans over into your cockpit.
Okay, mister, she's all yours. I know you can cut the mustard. Just fly like you've been doing. I'll be watching from down here. Just give me my 3 satisfactory landings.
And you do it. There's no celebration for this as when you first soloed, but it means just as much. Because now, well, now you're a jet pilot. And then there's formation flying, one of the biggest thrills in learning your craft as a jet fighter pilot.
Hogjaw flight, this is Hogjaw leader, 5,000-foot check. Gang load your fuel switches.
So you turn off your emergency fuel pump, turn all fuel tanks on. Then at 12,000...
Hogjaw flight, 12,000-foot check.
So you check the number of pounds of oxygen left, your blinker indicator to see it's feeding, and oxygen hoses fitted properly, and all check in.
325 pounds, oxygen normal, blinker working. 350 pounds, oxygen normal, blinker working.
315 pounds, oxygen normal, blinker working.
And your flight climbs up to rendezvous altitude, 20,000.
Hogjaw 4, settle down. Hogjaw 2, move it out a little. Get your wing out of my cockpit.
When you reach altitude, your leader holds his hand level in front of him, palm down. You're leveling off, reducing power. And then your flight goes into a series of banks and turns, holding formation all the while. But it's not all flying. There's academics, too, half of each day. Like flight planning class, where all the schooling you've had fits together practically like a jigsaw puzzle. Here, your navigation, weather, cruise control, instruments, all added together to teach you how to plan a cross-country flight. The class is a simulated flight to Los Angeles from your base at Williams outside of Phoenix. You do everything in the classroom you'll do later in the cockpit. It starts with a briefing.
Gentlemen, this is the first jet flight you've planned. Note the difference between jet planning and your previous work, especially speeds. Watch your reserve fuel. Don't forget, regulations state that you must have enough fuel to reach your destination and your alternate field and still have 20 minutes fuel left. Note that when IFR on instrument flight, you must report every 200 miles over fixes named in the flight plan. You make a jet instrument letdown to Los Angeles Radio Range Station. Now, since this is your first class, pair off and work the problem together. Instructors will check your work. You'll then go to mock operations desk and file your clearance.
then to the radio room where you fly your simulated flight. Any questions, gentlemen? All right, then, go to it.
All right, Dreamer, let's get on the stick. Open up your radio facility chart and let's see what our airways look like.
Roger. I'll work out the headings on this little old Weems product.
And after a couple of straight hours of computing, reckoning, plotting, head-scratching, and assorted figuring, your problem is finished. Checked by the instructors, and next you're in the radio room, simulating the flight to Los Angeles, watching your checkpoints, fuel, altitude, ground speed. And then your clock and figures say you're ready to enter the Los Angeles radio range. A radio beam that'll buzz in your headset to lead you to the field on instruments. The L.A. sounding now in your ears. A few weeks later, you're actually flying this mission, not in the classroom, but under the hood in the front seat of a Jet T-33, instructor in the rear, below and ahead somewhere in the gathering fall of night Los Angeles, straining your ears to hear and feel your way into the code signal highway that leads to the field.
Mister, do you know which quadrant you're in and where you are?
Roger, sir. A quadrant. I'm making a low-angle approach to the beam.
Good boy.
And as you bank toward the beam, trying to hit the thin line where the A and N signals merge into one highway, you hear... And you hit the highway, but pass slightly to the other side, so you bank back, and then hear the beautiful, steadying humming of the range.
Okay, mister, you can pop your hood and see where you are.
Roger, sir.
All those lights, mister, that's L.A. You hit her right on the nose.
That's one night you'll always remember, your first RON, remain overnight. But there are other nights, Friday night dances at the Cadet Club on the base. You and Jack have two cute co-eds from Arizona State College, and flying is way in the background now. You're relaxing. Oh, some boys go in for hangar flying, talking flying all the time on the ground, but not you two. Not with two lovelies at your table.
If you two fly boys aren't going to talk about anything but airplanes, we may get the idea you don't like us.
Oh, now, honey bunch, you wouldn't leap off out of formation, would you?
This is a dance. Aren't we going to?
Now, let's just wait till that band throttles back to slow cruise. Too fast now.
See what I mean, Ellen? All they talk is flying. Crazy, that's what. One-track mind.
And there's Paul. He hadn't learned how to act like a gentleman. The Air Force is trying to make him.
Why, you corn-pone coddle southerner. We learned to be gentlemen up north when you're still a barefoot, cotton-picking pussycat.
Old Ned's my buddy, girls, but I just haven't been able to get anything about flying through that damn skull of his.
Andrew Jackson Culpepper. Boy, you may just make your wings yet.
No sweat, buddy. I got this program licked. I'll be bouncing those F-86 Sabre jets around.
Boys, that's enough. Stop talking planes or Ellen and I leave right now.
Say again?
We're leaving if you're not dancing. You're going to talk only flying?
Negative. Let's dance now that band's throttled back.
Yeah, watch that crosswind, Ned, coming through the door.
Roger, Hogjaw 3. Come on, Ellen girl. I'll check you out on a slow cruise.
Honey bunch, let's not talk about flying anymore. Let's talk about you. What do you think of me as a flyer?
That's what it's like to be a jet pilot. When you aren't flying them, you're talking them, hangar flying. It's in your blood. You eat, sleep, and drink jet flying all the time. And now they're cutting you off, grounding you. You knew the rules, but the first time they caught you off base, you got tagged out. Out of the program. No wings, no commission, no flying. And as you lie there, hands clasped behind your ears, you hear the flight surgeon's voice.
Not qualified for duty involving flight in aircraft. Grounded.
But you hear something else in your left ear. And it's your wristwatch held next to your bad ear, and you can hear the sound loud and clear like golden bells.
I can hear. I can hear. I can hear. My bad ear. I can fly again.
You were right. Soon you were flying again. A few weeks later, you're graduating with your flight and class. Most unforgettable to most of the boys on that graduation day is the sound of their name being called out to step up and receive their silver pilot wings. But for you, The sound that sends a real shiver down your back is the memory of that wristwatch ticking away in your left ear. The sound that meant you could fly again, the most important sound in your life. Well, maybe not, after all. It's that beautiful, gathering, echoing rumble overhead of a swift-streaking silver jet. Your airplane.
There's a song about the blue of the night and the gold of the day that brings happy memories to a lot of people. To an Air Force man, one of the happiest days of his life is when the gold bars of a second lieutenant are pinned to his blue uniform. He's earned those gold bars, and he wears his Air Force blue proudly. If he qualifies as a pilot or an aircraft observer on one of the mighty Air Force planes, he can even wear the coveted silver wings. If you're between 19 and 26 and a half, single, and can otherwise qualify, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station. See if you're qualified to join up with the aviation cadets, the men in Air Force Blue.
This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in this same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Well, once again, it's time to keep that pleasantest of all doctor's appointments, our weekly visit with our excellent host and incomparable storyteller, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
There you are, Mr. Bell. Just in time to join me in a glass of port. The decanter's there on the sideboard. Help yourself and then settle down.
Fine, Dr. Watson. I suppose you're all ready with tonight's new Sherlock Holmes story, The Adventure of Maltree Abbey, isn't it?
Yes, my boy, and in many ways I'm inclined to think it was one of the most singular adventures that Sherlock Holmes and I ever had. But before I begin the weird adventure of Maltree Abbey, haven't you got a word for our listeners?
Yes, Dr. Watson, I have. Men, neat-looking, well-groomed hair does so much to give a man that air of success, to say nothing of adding to his good looks. And I'm sure you'll be interested in hearing about this modern trend in hair grooming, which has become such a nationwide favorite. It's called Kreml Hair Tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic contains a combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. Yes, that's exactly why Kreml gives a man's hair such a natural, well-groomed look and keeps it in place longer, keeps every hair in perfect order from morning till night. Yet Kreml never gives hair that cheap, greasy, patent leather look. Kreml keeps hair looking mighty handsome with a rich, healthy-looking luster. Yet it always feels and looks so clean on your hair and scalp. Men, if you aren't already using a hair tonic, try Kreml. If you're using some other hair dressing, change to Kreml. Then see if your hair doesn't look better than it ever did before. Better groomed, better looking when you use Kreml. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about the Venerable Bede and the Adventure of Maltree Abbey?
Well, Mr. Bell, that story began in Baker Street on the December afternoon many, many years ago. It was shortly after tea, I remember, when Sherlock Holmes, who'd been pacing up and down our room, suddenly stopped at the window and looked intently out at the street below him. After a few moments, my curiosity overcame me, and I joined my old friend. Looking over his shoulder, I saw that on the pavement opposite there stood a young woman dressed in the height of Edwardian fashion. She wore a fur boa and a broad-brimmed hat, from under which she peeped up in a nervous, hesitating fashion at our windows, while her body oscillated backward and forward. Suddenly, with a plunge like the swimmer who leaves the bank, she hurried across the road, and we heard the clang of our front door bell. Took her a long enough time to make up her mind, didn't it, Holmes?
Yes, Watson. I've seen those symptoms before in women. Oscillation on the pavement generally means an affaire du coeur. She would like advice, but is not sure whether the matter is not too delicate for communication.
She looked a pretty little thing. Perhaps some scoundrels jilted her.
Oh, no, Watson. In such a case, the usual symptom is a broken bell wire. Here, I think we may deduce the young lady is not so much angry as grieved or perplexed. Why not meet her at the head of the stairs, old chap? I know Mrs. Hudson's rheumatism is bothering her.
Yes, of course I will. This way, young lady. It's all right, thank you, Mr. Hudson. I'm Dr. Watson. Won't you come along in?
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
This is my friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
How do you do?
How do you do? I'm Sybil Carter, and I need your help, Mr. Holmes.
Then please be seated, Miss Carter. I presume it is Miss, since I see no ring on your wedding finger.
Yes, it's Miss. Though that awful man, Jonathan Devers, would like to make it Mrs.
Oh, I can quite understand any man wanting...
Quiet, Watson.
Oh, sorry.
Please tell me your problem, Miss Carter.
Well, I can tell you in 2 words, gentlemen. Jonathan Devers wanted to marry me, and that was bad enough. But even to save the Martree fortunes, I couldn't marry him. Now he wants Harold to leave the country and disappear. And when we think of the Abbey and the tenants, what can we do? I know that my brother's dead set against outside interference, but tonight is when we play the music. And if only you could be there.
Oh, that's considerably more than 2 words, Miss Carter. I'm afraid I can't make head or tail of any of them.
Nor can I. Supposing you begin again and talk more slowly.
Oh, very well, Mr. Holmes.
Perhaps it'll be better if I ask questions. You mention your brother's title. May I ask what that title is?
My brother's Harold Carter, the 14th Earl of Maltree, and the poorest. Confidentially, we're in a dreadful way financially. Harold invested in Canadian copper last year. The market dropped recently, and we were nearly wiped out. That's when this awful Jonathan Devers came on the scene.
And who is Jonathan Devers?
Oh, he's a cousin of ours from South Africa. He's a dreadful bore, but extremely wealthy.
And he wants to marry you, sir?
Yes, but even for the sake of the Abbey and the Maltree fortunes, I couldn't do that. Now he's offered Harold £50,000 in cash if he'll go abroad and pretend to disappear. You see, Jonathan Devers is next of male kin in line for the inheritance.
So Mr. Devers is trying to bribe your brother to disappear so that he may inherit the title and estates?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
In this particular matter, I fail to see how I can help you.
Oh, but you can, Mr. Holmes. You see, the first Earl of Maltree, he was created by Henry VIII, you know, left a family motto. It's inscribed in our private chapel at the Abbey. It says, "If the Maltrees be in need, seek the Venerable Bede."
Bede was some fellow who works in the parish, isn't he?
Bede, Watson, not Beadle.
Oh, Bede.
Yes, spelt B-E-D-E.
Oh, Bede.
The Venerable Bede, if I'm not mistaken, was an 8th century monk who is revered not only as a saint, but as the first great English historian.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. We have a statue of him in the chapel, and then we have a family custom that... Oh, I know this may sound silly to you.
Don't worry, Miss Carter. I'm aware that some of these old, crusted superstitions often conceal surprising truths. Pray continue.
Well, it's been passed down in the family that if ever the Maltrees were in trouble, they should play a very peculiar piece of music which he composed.
Piece of music? What an odd idea.
Extremely interesting. And you're planning to play the music tonight, you say?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Heaven alone knows the Maltrees couldn't be in worse trouble than they are now. And I want you to be there. Only Harold doesn't. So I thought, if you bring your violin, I could pretend that you had just come to hear the music.
An excellent idea, Miss Carter. As I remember, Maltree Abbey is in Gloucestershire.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, at Chipping Martin. An express leaves Paddington at 5:30. Perhaps we could travel together?
Certainly.
So it seems like a wild goose chase, Holmes. An 8th century monk and strange music. Sounds like a lot of mumbo-jumbo to me.
Where's your chivalry, Watson? In any case, shall you recall the singular affair of the Musgrave ritual? There's no telling what these old family customs may portend. So be a good fellow and pack your bag. There's no time to be lost.
I'll just have time to show you the chapel before dinner, gentlemen.
Thank you, Lord Carter.
And after dinner, I shall be happy to gratify your musical curiosity, Mr. Holmes. But you mustn't regard my sister's visit today too seriously. Sybil's an overly emotional girl. And quite frankly, I wish that she hadn't approached you. I feel that Maltree Abbey is my duty. I'll find some way to save it, and my tenants.
I trust that the music will live up to its magical reputation.
Well, this is the chapel.
What beautiful building. Must be very old.
Oh, 16th century. The Abbey House was built nearly 100 years later. Hold your lantern a little higher, Dr. Watson. That's it. Now, I want to show you a prized possession. There you are.
Magnificent. Quite magnificent. This, I presume, is the statue of the Venerable Bede that your sister spoke of.
Yes. It's an excellent specimen of 16th century wood carving. Note particularly the delicate work on the beads of the rosary.
Odd. Very odd indeed.
What's odd, Holmes?
The fact that the...
How many times do I have to tell you to keep away from me, you filthy scum? Don't you take your whip to me, sir? I'm not doing nothing.
What on the devil's going on out there? Come on.
Come, down your evidence. Take that. Oh, don't you lay your whip on me.
Jonathan, what's the matter?
Hell, I demand that you discharge this groom of yours. You can't whip me, Mr. Devers. I'll have your blood for this, I will.
Well, what's he done, Jonathan?
He's been following me. Twice today I bumped into him in the grounds. Not half an hour ago I was taking a walk by the bottomless tarn, and I found him skulking behind me. Now I bump into him sneaking after me here. I say you must discharge him, Hal.
He was only hired today. I suppose you're right. Wilson, you may collect a week's wages and leave in the morning.
I wasn't doing no harm. Just trying to deliver a telegram. That's why I came here. Is one of you gents Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
I am he.
Then this telegram come for you. I was only trying to find you when this son of a South African slave driver comes. Oh, I'll have your blood, you see, if I don't.
That's enough, Wilson. Now, clear up. I'm sorry, Jonathan. Oh, by the way, this is Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Mr. Jonathan Devers.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Devers?
Yes. Sybil told me that you were having distinguished company at your musical soiree tonight. How are you, gentlemen? But excuse me. Shall see you at dinner, no doubt.
Hey, Bully, that poor devil of a groom was half his size.
Mr. Devers mentioned that he was walking by the bottomless tarn half an hour ago. What, may I ask, is the bottomless tarn?
Oh, it's a lake on the estate. It's just behind the gamekeeper's cottage. There's a legend that it's fathomless. All I know is that some years ago a prize heifer of mine was seen to fall in and drown. We dragged the lake, but no grappling hooks we could obtain touched the bottom.
Interesting.
Holmes, the telegram that fellow brought you.
Ah, yes, the telegram. Give me the lantern, Watson. Thanks. An extremely illuminating message. Read it for yourself, Lord Carter.
It says nothing but my cousin's name, Jonathan Devers.
And yet the message is quite eloquent. It is in answer to a query I made before leaving London. Who forced that market drop in Canadian copper which wiped out the Maltree fortunes?
You mean that Jonathan deliberately smashed me, Holmes?
It would seem obvious.
Yes, it's perfectly clear the Devers covets the title and stop at nothing to get it.
Holmes, what am I going to do? What the devil am I going to do?
We must wait until after dinner and hope that the musical composition may give us a solution to your unhappy problem.
Now that Sybil's played that rather dull piece of discordancy, I hope you're all satisfied. Naturally, the Maltree fortunes will be restored.
Very funny, Jonathan.
What do you make of it, Mr. Holmes?
It's curious. Very curious. Will you repeat that principal theme again, please, Miss Carter?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Miss Carter. I think I begin to get a glimmering of the mysterious message.
Yeah, blessed if I do. Sounds like a jumble of meaningless notes to me.
Never mind, Dr. Watson. Your brilliant friend thinks that he saved the Maltree fortunes. In that case, Harold, I suppose you won't need to see Mr. Alexander in London tomorrow.
Why, how did you know that?
That your solicitor planned to start bankruptcy proceedings at the latest tomorrow? I, too, have my investigators, Harold. They seem a bit more efficient than your great Sherlock Holmes. Good night, Sybil. Good night, gentlemen. There you are again. What are you doing, listening at the door, you filthy swine?
I was just going to the kitchen.
Get to the stables where you belong. If I see that groom again, Harold, I'll break his neck. See that he goes tonight.
How dare he speak to you like that, Harold? He's not master here.
Not yet, Sybil. But I can't hold on to the place much longer, and he knows it.
You're a thoroughly unpleasant scoundrel, if you ask me.
Mr. Holmes, you said the music gave you some clue to the message?
It did, Miss Carter. But it requires thought and a certain amount of musical experimentation. I doubt if this music room would welcome the consumption of an ounce or two of shag tobacco. I think, therefore, that Watson and I will retire to our own room. With the aid of a pipe and my violin, I shall give the matter undivided attention. And tomorrow...
Tomorrow, Maltree Abbey will go into receivership.
Not while Sherlock Holmes is on the case.
Oh, thank you, Watson. A man of my peculiar modesty needs your constant reassurance.
Sleep out.
Then why not go to sleep, my dear chap?
How can I when you keep scraping away that wretched fiddle? Da 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 da. Lot of rubbish. Sit up half the night. Where'll it get you? Oh yeah, I'm going to sleep.
When the Maltrees are in need, seek the venerable bee. This music will solve the Maltrees' problems.
You come with me, Mr. Devers? I'll have your blood for this, I will.
Too bad that your solicitor is starting bankruptcy proceedings tomorrow.
You must help us. You must.
When the Maltrees are in need, seek the venerable bees.
I've got it. Watson, wake up. Wake up.
What's the matter? What's up, Holmes?
I've got the answer, Watson. I've solved the musical message. Before the night is through, I think we shall find the secret of Maltree Abbey.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Sherlock Holmes and discover just what that secret is. Leading hair specialists in this country constantly advise us to take better care of the hair we've got. And men, don't forget that if you want your hair handsome and healthy looking, one of the first requirements is a hygienic scalp. And why settle for just any hair dressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of Kreml hair tonic? Kreml is a highly specialized hair tonic which gives you your money's worth. It contains a unique combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair preparation. It keeps hair attractively groomed at all times, looking so neat and orderly. But Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. A Kreml massage stimulates circulation right in the surface of your scalp and leaves your scalp feeling so alive and invigorated. At the same time, Kreml removes dandruff flakes. And it's excellent to lubricate a dry scalp. And if your hair is so dry that it breaks off and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair in that it makes it feel softer and more pliable. So men, take better care of the hair you've got. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Ask for an application at your barber shop. Use Kreml daily for better groomed hair, for a more hygienic scalp. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Well, Dr. Watson, I'm just as confused as I'm sure you must have been when Sherlock Holmes awakened you. What was the musical message?
Supposing I tell you the story in its actual sequence, Mr. Bell. I quickly dressed, and in the moonlight, Holmes and I stealthily crept down the corridor to Lord Carter's room. A few moments later, the three of us, carrying lanterns, started down the staircase leading to the main hall. Holmes, as we went into Lord Carter's room, I'm sure that absolutely certain that I saw another door down the corridor half open and then closed.
Which door was it?
The last one on the right.
Oh, that's Jonathan Dever's room.
I suppose he knows what we're up to, which I must confess is more than I do.
Well, if I'm right, not even Devers can stop us now.
You're being confoundedly mysterious, Holmes. Will you tell me why we're heading for the chapel at 2 a.m?
In a few moments, I shall make the reason extremely clear to you, I hope.
Well, I hear the door.
Look. Through the stained glass windows over there. I swear there's someone with a lantern in the grounds outside.
Our immediate problem is here, inside. Focus your lantern on the statue of the Venerable Bede, Watson. That's where the answer to the Maltree legend lies, I think.
For heaven's sake, Holmes, I wish you'd be more explicit.
Very well. Let me see if I can whistle those notes written in the musical theme. The notes are B, E, D, E, B, E, A, D. These notes were followed by a rhythmically repeated series of the note D 4 times. Surely now the pattern becomes clear.
Well, the notes B, E, D, E obviously stand for Bede, the Venerable Bede, and we're standing in front of a statue here now.
But the second 4 notes are B, E, A, D.
You yourself pointed out the rosary on the Venerable Bede statue, Lord Carter. The notes B, E, A, D must refer to the beads of the rosary. That's why I became suspicious on first seeing the statue. The rosary did not come into use till almost 5 centuries after the Venerable Bede. Yet his statue had one.
Then what does the repetition of the note D 4 times mean after the melody?
I think it gives us the vital clue. D is the 4th letter in the alphabet, and it's repeated 4 times. Let's see what happens when we press the 4th bead on the Venerable Bede's rosary. So,
by George, I think you're on the right track, Holmes.
You are. Look at that section of wall behind the font. It's slid back.
Come on. Let's see what it takes us to.
There's a narrow stone staircase leading below.
Well, I'll go first. Holmes, perhaps you have saved the Maltree fortunes after all.
I hope so, Lord Carter. I hope so. Watch your head, Watson.
Oh, must have built these steps with pigmies. Holmes, do you suppose we'll find any hidden treasure down here?
I shall suppose nothing, Watson. In a few moments, there will be no need for conjecture.
Holmes, I'm afraid we've drawn a blank.
What's wrong, Lord Carter?
Now look for yourself.
A deserted crypt. Nothing but a few cobwebby old relics.
Yes. The crucifix, a Bible, a gutted candlestick on the table here. Or they may have some small intrinsic value, but nothing else. Oh, I was a fool to have any hopes. And I was expecting to find buried treasure.
Wait a moment. Something, possibly the treasure, has recently been removed from here.
Well, what makes you say that, Holmes?
The room is thick with dust. Yet there's a large rectangular space free from dust on the table, as though a heavy folio volume had recently been lying there.
By George, you're right, Holmes.
And look here on the floor. Fresh footprints. Yes, someone has recently anticipated our discovery.
Well, it's not very hard to guess who that someone was. Jonathan Devers.
Aha. Observe these curious marks on the floor by the table. 4 round dots, rectangularly spaced. I should say that a Gladstone bag has been placed here. A bag that was undoubtedly used to remove the treasure.
But why, Holmes? Why carry off a heavy book in a bag?
Supposing that book were of priceless value, Watson. Suppose it were the heirloom of the Maltree family, and its discovery by the rightful owner might save the estate.
Yes. And I'm sure that Devers is quite capable of stealing it. The question is, though, what would he do with it?
Precisely. And to answer that question, I shall try and imagine myself in the shoes of Mr. Devers. I'm a millionaire, therefore I don't need the treasure. Too risky to sell it anyway. All I want to do is to keep it from the Maltrees, so I'll destroy it. But how? I haven't the time or the opportunity to burn it. Difficult with a heavy book in any case. So I'm looking for some place to dispose of it where it may never be recovered. The fathomless lake on this estate. That'd be the place.
The bottomless tarn?
Of course. Remember the Devers told us earlier that he'd been walking by it this evening?
Then let's go there as fast as we can. I can only pray that we're not too late.
Look. There, in the moonlight. It's Jonathan Devers. He's running towards the edge of the lake.
Yes, and he's carrying a Gladstone bag.
Which means that we can run faster than he can. You have your revolver, Watson?
Yes, I have.
Don't hesitate to use it. This devil's work must be stopped. Come on, faster.
Oh, we'll never catch him. He's at the edge of the town.
Drop that bag, Mr. Devers.
You're too late, my friend.
Drop it or I'll shoot.
I'll drop it in the bottomless tarn. There. Goodbye to the treasure of the Maltrees.
You devil. You've ruined me. I'll have the law on you for this. You're a common thief.
I don't know how you'll prove it, Harold. That was my own Gladstone bag, and I dropped it in the tarn. You don't even know what was inside it.
But here comes the man who can tell us.
God, it's Wilson, the groom fellow you discharged, Lord Carter.
Well, what are you doing here, Wilson? What's that book you're carrying?
I just done what Mr. Sherlock Holmes told me to, sir. I was following Mr. Devers. When he put down the bag and went off to get his coat before coming out here, I thought there might be something valuable in it. I took out this book, and I filled the bag with a few rocks.
Wilson, No, you won't, Devers. Or you'll end up in the tarn where you belong.
Let me see the book, Wilson.
Here you are, Governor.
Thank you. Hold the lantern a little higher, Watson. That's it. Aha. These faded pages are written in monkish Latin of the 8th century, and the hand is of the same period. Unless all my researches on the datings of documents are valueless, these must be, the original manuscripts of the Venerable Bede himself.
Good Lord, then they're absolutely priceless.
And that means that the Maltrees are saved.
And you, Mr. Devers, will have the privilege of inspecting the interior of an English prison.
Rubbish. What charge could you make?
Common theft, burglary.
The proof would depend on the word of that filthy groom there. And who's going to believe the oath of a servant with a grudge over the word of a South African millionaire?
I think it's high time that this, filthy groom disclosed his true identity.
All right, Mr. Holmes. The gentleman, I'm Inspector Athelney Jones of Scotland Yard.
And a great credit to the force you've been, my dear Jones.
Yes, indeed, you certainly have.
Your impersonation of a country groom was masterly, quite masterly. And now, let's return to the house, shall we? It's nearly 3 in the morning, and I think we've had enough excitement for one night. Satisfactory case, Watson, don't you think? As we head back to London, I must confess to a certain glow of satisfaction. The fortunes of the Maltrees are restored, the villain foiled and in custody. And
Scotland Yard get the credit. You know that, of course, Holmes.
Well, they deserve it. Athelney Jones is a very enterprising fellow. Yes, Watson, an immensely interesting case. You see, Maltree Abbey was, from its name, one of the properties expropriated from the monks by Henry VIII, who created the earldom. Undoubtedly, the abbots had hidden the monastery's most valuable possession, the Bede manuscript.
Well, I suppose the first earl discovered the hiding place and left the book there as a future security for the Maltree family.
Exactly, leaving the cryptic verse as a clue.
If the Maltrees be in need, seek the Venerable Bede. Yes, I see it all now. You know, Holmes, to me the whole case was worth it when I saw that girl's face light up as we told her the good news.
I fear that I'm less impressionable, old chap. For me, my retrospective pleasure in this case lies in the fact that an irreplaceable treasure has been saved, and that a monk who died 12 centuries ago will have been responsible for restoring the fortunes of a fine old family. Yes, Watson, I think that in many ways you might refer to this as our most successful case.
Dr. Watson will be back in just a moment to tell you about next week's story. Ladies, you've heard it said that a woman's hair is her crowning glory. And how true this is. That's why you ladies should take the very best care of your hair, especially in shampooing.
I'm glad you brought that point up, Mr. Bell, because many popular shampoos have a tendency to dry the hair.
Well, here's one shampoo that will never dry the hair. Never under any circumstances. And it's Kreml shampoo.
Yes, Kreml shampoo is simply wonderful. It actually glamour bathes each tiny strand of hair so that it fairly radiates natural, dazzling highlights. It leaves the hair simply gleaming with natural, glossy luster. And what's more, your hair stays this way for days.
Kreml shampoo is not a soapless shampoo. It's not a cream shampoo. It's not a drying detergent. It's entirely different.
Kreml shampoo whips up a luxurious, active foam, even in the hardest water. You can use it as often as you wish over a long period of time, and it'll never dry your hair. In fact, Kreml shampoo has a built-in oil base, which actually helps keep the hair from becoming dry or brittle.
Remember, ladies, that divinely beautiful Powers models wash their hair with Kreml shampoo. They claim no other shampoo leaves their hair more shining bright, yet never dries the hair. Why not try it? Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me see. Next week, I think I shall tell you how Holmes managed to trap a fiendish murderer who had terrorized a pretty little English country village. I call it The Adventure of the Tolling Bell.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, A Case of Identity. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight, with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steinert. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at the same time when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of the tolling bell. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
Look, baby, why don't you get smart?
This attitude don't get you nothing except maybe a pretty little map all mashed in.
This attitude will get me plenty after you bring your boss here.
Listen to her. The gauntlet of frail.
Hey, you don't think the boss will come to see you?
I know he will, after you give him my message.
Now we're a couple of messenger boys.
That's all you were in the first place. Now tell your boss this. Tell him I've got a racket that means dough, real long green Mazuma. Got that?
Keep stealing, kid.
Tell him I know how he and I can get into the chips 10 times over what he can pick up in this penny ante chiseling on card games. And tell him I'm not too bad to look at. And he might do himself a lot of good just by dropping in on me, say, tomorrow night.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Cards and Spades, starring Susan Douglas. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Susan Douglas as June Hathaway in Cards and Spades. June Hathaway was sweet and pretty and cute. Make no mistake about that. The women who came to her apartment each afternoon thought of her either as a daughter or as they thought of themselves at her age. This was reasonable rationalization for women who sought some excuse for their infatuation with the sight of cards and the sound of the chips clicking against each other on the table. Where June had come from, where she was heading, were matters of no moment to these women. They were matters of great importance to June, whose sharp, cold eyes belied her sweet face for anyone who saw them at unguarded moments. June had a plan. The afternoon card game was only the beginning of that plan.
I'll raise 5 blue. 5 and 5 more call you, honey. There you are. 2 pair. Not good enough, darling. Full house.
Oh, winning streak, eh? One more deal. I've got to get some of it back. As it is, Dave's beginning to wonder.
Oh, you too, honey. Mine wants to know where all the money goes.
Cost of living's always a good excuse.
Not with Ralph. He follows the index in the paper every day. Whatever an index is.
Don't tell me, ladies, that the cost of living is an item among you.
Hello, June.
Oh, dear.
After all, where one of you loses, the others win. Isn't that right?
Right, I suppose so.
I was sharing the wealth and having fun besides.
You're right, June, darling. Absolutely right.
You're a bright girl, June. You'd have been a great success in business, I think.
I couldn't wait for that. Me, a career girl with success at 50? No, thanks.
You are smart, though, June. Oh, my goodness.
4:30 already. I promised Dave I'd pick him up with the car at 5.
Oh, excuse me, the door.
One more hand, girls. That's all I have time for. I'll give.
Don't make a move, sister. This gun ain't no water pistol.
You know what's good for you? You keep your trap shut.
But I can't.
Shut up, you hear? All right, ladies, this is a stick-up.
Oh, no.
Coach will be in the bedroom, Huey. Pick the good ones.
Check. Take your tables and the wallet.
Double check. Yeah. Big game you're running here, sister. Yeah, not a bad haul.
It was a big game, you sap.
I got the coach, 4 of them. Not bad. The rest are just dogs.
Oh, my God.
All right, shut up. You're insured.
Got the cash? Let's go.
Got it. Let's ride.
June, call the police, please, for pity's sake.
You
You've got
all
to call
crazy.
it.
You want your names in the paper.
I want my fur coat back.
You want to go to jail for illegal gambling? Do you, any of you?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Well,
No.
I didn't think so. All right, ladies. Cash your chips. The base play's over. Oh, you two again.
Yeah, us two.
Hey, glad to see us, kid.
Like an epidemic of smallpox, I'm glad to see you.
Oh, that ain't nice, baby.
With mugs like you, I don't have to be nice.
Nah, don't be like that, kid. We come back to tell you ought to have protection.
Yeah. You're from mugs like us who bust up card games.
After all, it gets around your game is stuck up every week. The dames ain't going to come to play with you, sister.
I had a decent living out of this. You fatheads bust in, scare away the pigeons. It'll take me a month to build up the business again. I ought to make you give me a cut of what you snagged out of here today.
We don't give no cuts. You cut us in. And our boss. He wants you should pay some insurance premiums. Hold-up insurance.
Not a dime. Not one thin dime.
You want to run a game, you give us 25%. We collect regular, every Saturday.
No bagman gets a cent from me. I build this business by myself. I'm keeping what I make.
Oh, what a shame. And she's a cutie, too.
Now, look, sister, grow up. The boss controls gambling in this burg. Everybody pays.
Not me. I have nothing to pay with. You spoiled the whole deal this afternoon.
You're gonna pay.
You heard me. I'll say it again. No. N-O. No.
Look, baby, once you get smart.
This attitude don't get you nothing, except maybe your pretty little map all mashed in.
This attitude will get me plenty. After you bring your boss here.
Listen to her. The gauntlet of frail.
Hey, you don't think the boss will come to see you.
I know he will. After you give him my message.
Now we're a couple of messenger boys.
That's all you were in the first place. Now you tell your boss this. Tell him I've got a racket that means dough. Real long green Mazuma. Got that?
Keeps failing, kid.
Tell him I know how he and I can get into the chips. 10 times over what he can pick up in this penny ante chiseling on card games. And tell him I'm not too bad to look at. And he might do himself a lot of good just by dropping in on me, say, tomorrow night. Yes?
Well, not bad. The boys have better judgment than I thought.
What do you want?
I want in, first of all.
And then?
Then we'll see. Look, Miss Hathaway, are you going to keep me standing in the hall all evening?
You know my name.
I'm Dick Moorhead, known to you by way of Gus and Huey as the boss.
I thought so. I expected Gus and Huey with you.
They're with me, downstairs in the car.
Come in.
Thanks.
Sit down.
I don't mind if I do.
Drink.
No, thanks. I never drink. At a business conference.
Then start the conference.
You had my offer yesterday.
Oh, that was no offer. That was an insult.
Snappy, aren't you? Do you have a counter proposal?
I may have. If you agree on what basis we're going to talk.
What do you mean, what basis?
Are you still pointing a gun at me?
I'm not even carrying one. Want to search me?
I'll take your word for it.
Go on.
Are we talking as equals?
Gus was right. You do have gall. I run gambling in this town by disposition of the syndicate. You run, or ran, a card game, and you want to talk as equals?
Maybe you are the boss. I don't think you're so bright.
Oh, you don't?
Bright boys don't kill the goose. They collect the golden egg.
All right, as equals. What's your proposal?
That we go partners.
On what? Your game?
Oh, that's chicken feed.
What then?
On what can come out of my game. Enda doesn't like it.
Well, maybe you better draw a blueprint.
Well, it begins to look like it. Look, Richard.
The name's Dick. Richard has been a fighting word as long as I can remember.
All right, look, Dick. 99% of the women who play in my game or did play in it are afraid of their husbands.
Ideal situation.
No joke. They're afraid, but not the way you're thinking. They don't want their husbands to know what they're up to in the afternoon.
I think I'm beginning to understand.
There's more to it. We might make them pay off a little on a deal like that, but they'll pay off a lot more, and in a lot of other ways if they lose heavily once in a while.
Junie, you're a genius.
No, I just happen to know my own gender.
Well, now that you've given me the idea, what do I need you for?
The women trust me. They know me. I look too innocent, too sweet to be bad. They'll never trust a man like you.
What do you need me for?
A strong arm and, when necessary, and liaison with the syndicate.
Junie, you're a honey. You're beautiful. And you're smart. How did you get to learn all these tricks?
I was born in the jungle. I survived. I saw the other girls and what they were up against. I figured not to be trapped behind a typewriter or in a laundry. And I don't care for the usual career.
So you used your brain.
I try.
You got a deal, partner.
I thought I would have.
Now, how about that drink?
The business conference over?
It's over.
And the social side of our relationship begins?
I think it does. If you want it that way.
Why not? Make yourself at home. Oh, the liquor's in that cabinet over there. You might as well know where everything is around here. I imagine you'll be coming back fairly regularly.
Take your hands off me. Who do you think you are?
Shut up. You wanted the Forsyth and Kirby dames, Miss Hathaway. Boss, you got them.
So I see.
Okay, wait outside, Gus.
Check.
What's the meaning of this?
You'll find out.
I demand to know. Mysterious phone calls. Hoodlums bringing us here in a closed car. This strange man. Really, June, you'd better explain.
I think you'd better explain this, Mrs. Kirby.
Dorothy. That check.
Quiet, Mrs. Forsyth. Your turn will come.
I lost heavily. I gave June a check.
Which I checked on before I cashed it, or tried to cash it. You have no account in this bank, Mrs. Kirby.
You can't collect on the gambling debt in this state. My husband's a lawyer, and I'm...
Can't we, Mrs. Kirby?
And now you, Mrs. Forsyth.
I'm paid up. You haven't anything you can charge me with.
Except the fact that you're deathly afraid your husband will find out how much money you've been losing.
I don't care if he does.
Call up, Mr. Forsyth. Dick, the number's Jefferson 56703.
No, don't call him, for pity's sake. It's as much as my marriage is worth.
How much is your marriage worth, Mrs. Forsyth?
What do you want?
Money. Lots of it. About as much each week as you've been losing. But you'll have to keep on playing, too.
I can't. I haven't got it.
But you'll get it, won't you? Oh, won't she, Dick?
I think so. I know that phone number now.
All right. I'll try. What do you want from me?
You have friends, Mrs. Kirby.
My friends?
They'll enjoy an occasional game of cards.
You want me?
We call them steerers in cruder places, Mrs. Kirby. You are going to steer for us.
I won't. That is, I can't. I can't. I'll lose my friends. You'll fleece them just as you fleeced us. I can't. I can't.
Oh, but you will, Mrs. Kirby. You will. You'd rather have them pay through the nose than go through a scandal yourself, wouldn't you? And a bad check is nasty, Mrs. Kirby. Very, very nasty. You can't, but you will, Mrs. Kirby. You know that just as well as I do.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Cards and Spades. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Susan Douglas as June Hathaway in Cards and Spades. The racket worked, and with great success. The women caught in June's web, the mainstay of which was their own desire for the excitement of gambling. The women paid, and in many ways. Beginning with Dorothy Kirby and the friends she brought, June and Dick expanded their activities. For the victims, fear became the dominant feeling of their lives. For June and Dick, power and more power, money and more money became the prime motives. But even these activities can reach a saturation point for the victims. Margaret Forsythe reached that point the morning she came to pay her 5th installment to June.
All right, Mrs. Forsythe, just leave the money. I have a busy morning. Your friend Mrs. Kirby is due shortly.
I thought you might take something in place of money.
From you? The distinguished Mrs. Forsythe? Hardly.
I've come to give you...
Yes, the money. You have it in your bag, Mrs. Forsythe.
I can't. I won't. I've stood it for 5 weeks. I've drawn on my own savings. But my husband's getting more and more suspicious. I'm through. I'm finished. Do what you think you can to me. Try anything. You can't get blood out of a stone.
Never mind the histrionics. Just open your bag and pay and then get out.
All right. I'll open my bag. I'll pay you. I'll pay you exactly what you deserve.
I see. A dainty little automatic. Pearl handle, too. A real lady's gun. Only you won't pull the trigger. You haven't the nerve.
I will.
Give me that gun, Mrs. Forsythe.
Stay away from me. Stay away from me.
With the pleasure, June?
Yes, I did. Take it away from her.
With pleasure?
No, keep away. I'm shoot.
There you are, kid. Loaded, too.
Yes, I thought it would be.
What do you want I should do with the dame?
Oh, teach her a lesson, Gus. Try to leave as few marks as possible.
Oh, that's easy.
No! Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
I wouldn't want I should mark her face, so I twist her arms. Like this. And then I gives her the knee. Like this. And then...
I thought I heard her.
Margaret. Watch closely, Mrs. Kirby, and I'll put lessons for you.
And then I throws her down like this. And when she don't stop yelling, I uses my little piece of rubber hose.
I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
Much better. Much better. Well, Mrs. Kirby.
I came to report.
Yes, get on with it.
I can't. Margaret.
Never mind, Margaret, Dorothy, dear. How many friends are you bringing here this afternoon?
3. No, 4. But I don't want to. I'm afraid.
Margaret's very unhappy just now, Dorothy, isn't she? Isn't she? Now, how many did you say you were bringing to our little game this afternoon, dear?
That you, Dorothy?
Yes, Dave. Yes, it's me.
Where have you been?
Out with the girls.
That's what you've been saying for weeks. Which girls?
I won't be cross-questioned, Dave.
Oh, you won't. Well, suppose I say I won't accept the kind of life you've been living and making me live these past weeks.
Really, Dave, this attitude...
Attitude? Night after night, I come home to an empty house, to obviously dissatisfied servants, to a house that's no longer a home, and I have an attitude?
You might let me take my coat off before you start shouting.
It's got to stop. These afternoon gallivantings have got to stop.
Oh. I'm to be a prisoner, is that it?
Stop it, Dorothy. I don't know what you're up to, but...
What do you mean by that?
I happened to make a phone call today to your friend Janet. She hasn't seen you all week. And you told me on Tuesday and Wednesday both that you were spending the afternoons with her.
She must have forgotten.
She's telling the truth.
I won't have you calling my friends behind my back.
What are you doing behind my back?
You've no right to say that.
Apparently, I have no right to a decently run home either.
Dave. Oh, Dave, I'm so upset. I don't know what I'm saying.
That act won't work either. Next thing you'll say is your best friend was run over and she's in the hospital. And that's where you were.
I did take Margaret to the hospital.
Oh, stop it. It's no go, Dorothy. She probably is there, or you wouldn't dare try to get me to believe you'd been with her.
Oh, Dave. Dave, if I only could say...
See here, Dorothy. I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to find out. And if you won't tell me, I'll find out some other way. That's a warning, Dorothy. Don't forget it.
You, sent for me, Mr. Kirby? I'm here.
Billings, I understand you're a reliable man in your profession.
Reliable and discreet.
Good. I want you to trail my wife every afternoon until you're positive you know where she spends her time.
And with whom?
Not necessarily. After you found out where, we'll both go to see with whom. I believe that's the usual procedure in these cases, isn't it?
Well, sometimes the husband ain't anxious to go along, but if you want it that way, that's the way you can have it, Mr. Kirby.
I don't like it, Dick. I'm worried about it.
About what? The Kirby dame?
Yes, the Kirby.
Oh, she's bringing in her friends. She's doing what we tell her.
She's too docile.
You bet she's docile. Well, you told me yourself. She saw Gus operate on the Forsyth.
The Forsyth was quiet, too, before she broke loose.
And we taught her the time of day. I wonder how she explained the busted ribs to her husband.
I still don't like it.
Quit worrying, honey. Everything's copacetic. And the dough's rolling in. Besides, geniuses don't ever worry, and you're a genius. I told you that first time we got together.
Hello?
Mr. Kirby?
Yes?
Joe Billings here. We got her cold.
Where?
Swank apartment on the boulevard. You want us to go in today?
The sooner the better. Who's us?
Me and a photographer. Pictures are good evidence in divorce cases.
I wouldn't know about that.
Well, you want us to go ahead?
Wait for me. I want to go along. Where shall I meet you?
We're in a drugstore at 9th and the boulevard. We'll wait for you here.
I'll be right over. Why all the mystery, Billings? Do private detectives usually operate this way?
We have to in buildings like this. We couldn't get past the front desk without being announced. That wouldn't do us much good, would it?
Hardly.
So the service elevator, Mr. Kirby, which we run ourselves. Standard practice. 10th floor, Mr. Kirby. Here we are.
Yes, so I see.
I know it ain't pleasant, Mr. Kirby, but you gotta face facts, I suppose.
I suppose so. That's what makes business for the men in your profession.
To the right here, 10F. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Kirby.
Still, no matter how you look at it, it's not amusing.
Okay. Now, everybody know what the deal is?
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's see. You want me to follow you in and say, that's my wife, and then your friend here shoots the picture.
Check. Okay, here we go.
Who are you? What do you want?
It's a raid, lady. Don't try and stop
Out
us.
the back way, everybody. It's a raid.
It's a gambling den.
Dorothy, don't run away. It's
Dick, he took a picture. Get the camera.
I think this is a divorce raid or something. Mr. Kirby, look out. He's got a gun. All right.
Let the women go, but you stay here.
She put her husband up to this. Kirby put her husband up to it.
I didn't.
I say you did. Hold the gun on the men, Dick.
Keep away from my wife.
Stand still, you.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
All right, fellas, come on. What's going on around here?
What's going on here?
It's the cops.
Drop the gun, Moorhead. We know you.
Oh.
You should have known better, Moorhead. Maybe you'll learn in the can. I know what's going on here. Gambling, roulette, everything.
You can't prove a thing.
With these witnesses? Are you kidding, sister? I'm telling you, it's a laugh. We've been watching this joint for weeks. Suddenly there's a riot, and we walk in on the neatest sucker layout in town. Let's go, everybody.
I want a lawyer. You've got no warrant. You can't do this. You'll pay. You'll all pay.
Cut it out, sister. Your boyfriend pulled the gun. That's all I need. Now get going. There's a free ride waiting for you with a one-way ticket. Come on, sister. Move.
Crime does not pay.
Susan Douglas, who starred as June Hathaway in Cards and Spades, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Susan Douglas.
There's no doubt in my mind that June Hathaway knew exactly what she was doing. There is some doubt in my mind that she knew why she was doing it. June never examined the causes of her basic insecurity, the causes of the drive for money through any means, which brought her to cooperation with Dick Moorhead and eventual catastrophe. But it took more than June's schemes to bring about the events of this story. The necessary additional ingredient was the weakness of her victims. The craving for the excitement, the surrender to the temptation of the green table and the bright pasteboard. Without such help, without both sides of this story, there would have been no tears, no shame, no violence. For all concerned, for all those involved, including the victims, it can be said in all these cases, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Douglas. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical consultant is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy. Calling Washington.
United States Counterspy, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. At the end of today's broadcast, you will hear an in-person report from an outstanding undercover counter-espionage agent for the U.S. government, Angela Calamiras. Now, the case of the Pretty Plant.
Made nice time through this New York traffic, Sam. Now wait here, please.
Oh, my.
Good evening, madam. Are you the landlady?
I own the house, but I guess you'd say I'm the landlady.
Well, my name is Peters. My credentials?
Can't see without my glasses. If you'll wait just a minute.
Well, never mind. I'm a United States counterspy.
Mister, you could be the president. I still haven't got a vacancy. Not even the top floor rear, $6 a week bath on the fifth floor sheets changed every week.
I don't want a room, madam. You have a boarder named Scuba. Can you tell me what room he's in?
Oh, Mr. Scuba. Never had a better paying tenant in 22 years. No, 23. Come in.
Thank you.
He's got the second floor parlor front, $12 a week, bath with towel twice a week.
Well, you don't have to go up, madam. If you'll just tell me
Got
which...
to go up to the third floor anyway. Miss Tillinghaft's got a leak again. Watch the bottom step. Prophet's tour.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, I've got to go so slow. But my heart's not what it used to be.
No. Yes.
Whew. Landing. Good rule always to take a rest on each landing. Adds years to your life.
Mr. Scuba's room?
This one right here.
Oh.
I'm sure he's in. Tommy?
Excuse me. Just a second. Is this John Scuba?
Sure, that's him, only I never would have dreamed he'd go to sleep all dressed. He's not asleep.
He's dead.
Counterspy, New York field office.
Hello, Miss Morgan. This is Peters. Mr. Harding get in from Washington yet?
About 5 minutes ago, Mr. Peters. Just a second.
Hello, Peters. Bad news, Mr. Harding.
John Scuba's been strangled and the document's not in his room.
What do you make of it?
Chief, I was in Oklahoma City this afternoon and got your wire to come here, grab this fellow, and meet you. I don't know the case at all.
Remain where you are, Peters. I'll hop right over.
And I've questioned the landlady, Chief. She was in her own apartment downstairs all evening.
What about the other boarders?
7 were home. None saw or heard anything. Strangling can be quiet.
Oh. Well, I left word for an examination crew to follow me here. They'll give the whole place a going over. Anything in these drawers here?
Shirts, underwear, and so on. Chief, who is, or rather was, Scuba? What's the missing document?
Well, the tip came through our regular domestic counter-espionage division. Scuba, a courier for a certain communist spy ring, was ready to change sides. Hey, how about this closet here?
Ordinary clothes. He an American?
In the process of becoming a citizen. Obviously, his bosses learned he was going to change sides. Now, the document is supposed to be a list of about 5,000 prominent citizens around the country who might be blackmailed with facts about them.
Blackmail? By spies?
That's an old Nazi stunt. Their agents used to compile blackmail material, real or forged, against prominent people in countries surrounding Germany. They use it to prevent these people from resisting Nazi activities. Same idea here, only used by communists, and much more efficiently.
If that list gets out of this country, Chief.
We mustn't let it because... What's this?
Little package? I don't know. I haven't touched it.
From Weiner's Drugstore, 1217 Harper Avenue.
Scuba bought some toothpaste, I suppose.
Maybe, but on the other hand, this package may tell us exactly who killed Scuba. You wait here for the crew, Peters. I'm taking this right back to the field office for examination.
Sorry to have kept you waiting, darling.
I was 15 minutes late myself, Don.
Say, this isn't the table I told Jocko to reserve.
Don't bother. Cozy enough.
You're looking lovely as always, Irene. Cocktail?
I've already had a Gibson.
I'll join you at another. Then canapes?
Pate.
We'll make that two. Then what?
Capon?
Filet of sole for me.
What's the matter?
I have a surprise for you. Shall I tell you now?
No, of course.
It's not only a surprise. It's a gift from me to you. How would you like to take a trip to the Azores? By plane, leaving Tuesday, day after tomorrow. Stay there a week and fly back.
Don! Oh, it's wonderful. Traveling's my favorite thing.
I was sure you'd like it. I've already booked the flight for you. My Aunt Stella will put you up. You met her in New York last winter, you remember?
Oh, perfectly. Well, she has a large villa in the Azores, hasn't she?
On a hilltop overlooking the water. And I'll give you something to take to her. Gift for her, too.
Good. She's going to have a virtual stranger for a guest. A guest can at least bring a gift.
I have it in my pocket. I'll give it to you later.
Jewelry? Now, don't get me in trouble with the customs anywhere, Don.
No, it's a list.
A list? How dumb.
Well, Aunt Stella's active in various international relief organizations. There's a list of people all over the states who might contribute. I got it up for her.
Oh, Doug, did you pick up my perfume at Weiner's Drugstore? What, Doug? What's the...
Yes, I did, Irene, but I'm afraid I forgot it somewhere.
Oh, Doug, what a stupid thing to do.
Yes, I know.
Well, we can go by later and pick it up. You remember where...
No. Well, I imagine the place will be closed. I'll get some really good perfume somewhere else tomorrow.
But, Doug, I can't use the regular commercial brand. Weiner's been making this hyacinth blend for me for a long time.
Irene, this is very important. I want you never to go to Weiner's again. If you're ever asked, you must deny that I picked up that package for you today.
I better know why, Don.
Because I've made a serious mistake. If it's ever found out, I won't be able to...
I beg your pardon, sir.
Yes?
This is Miss Irene Storm?
Yes.
You are Mr. Irving Duncan?
Who are you?
I'm a United States counterspy. You're both under arrest. Several of my men are scattered among the other patrons. Will you come with me, please? We have arrived. Will you both get out?
Dunk, what is it?
Better go.
Straight ahead to the house.
House way off by itself. Funny place for counterspies to operate.
We pick our basis of operation to suit the case, Miss Storm. Just a moment. Come in. This way, Miss Storm, please. Wait in there, please. Don't try to leave. The house is thoroughly guarded. Thank you. Now, if you'll step into the living room with me, Mr. Duncan. Now, first, Mr. Duncan, the document you're carrying in your inside jacket pocket. Let me have it. Very well. Thank you. The murder of Scuba was well done, Mr. Duncan.
I never heard of anybody named Scuba.
You would never have been detected except that I was in the next room, the vacant one. I left a moment after you did.
I deny everything. I demand my constitutional rights. I insist upon being allowed to phone my attorney.
That's very good, Mr. Duncan.
What?
Look at this ring on my finger. Notice the pattern of tiny scratches? You understand.
Valviki. You. I didn't know you were even in this country.
This list is important. I had to be sure my orders to liquidate Scuba were carried out correctly. I am satisfied. As far as you are concerned, did everything go well?
Yes, perfectly. As to the list, Irene Storm is ready to leave the day after tomorrow.
I wonder if you confused beauty with reliability.
Beauty was...
I didn't pose as a counterspy this evening to amuse myself, Duncan. I'm afraid your Irene Storm is a real counter-spy agent.
Mr. Harding?
Come in, Peter.
I left the crew working at the boarding house. It looks like a dead end. How about that little package?
Take a whiff of this bottle.
It smells expensive.
Now, here's some litmus paper. Pour a little on.
Turns blue.
Because this perfume contains a special coloring agent.
Put in by Weiner? Why?
Weiner's is a famous old-style drugstore, Peters. He makes up special perfumes for a few favored customers. Of course, anybody might buy perfume there, so... at first, I wasn't sure what finding this package in Scuba's room meant. But this color test, which is prearranged between us and Weiner's, proves it was made for a certain person. It's a means of identification. And has several uses.
You mean a woman you know bought it and left it in Scuba's room?
That's what I'm not sure of. Now, flip that light switch, will you, Peter? I want to show you a sound film clip taken earlier today. That's Weiner's drugstore. Empty at the moment.
Strictly 1890.
Yes, no fountain, no chromium, just prescriptions. Now, these films were taken from a closet in the back room at Weiner's. The camera covers the prescription counter, and as you see, the 2 chairs for customers while orders are made up in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Good afternoon, sir.
That's old man Weiner.
Good afternoon. Help you, sir?
You have a package from Miss Irene Storm. She asked me to pick it up for her.
Oh, yes, sir. The hyacinth perfume. It's right here.
How much is it?
I send Miss Storm a monthly bill, sir.
Oh, will you wrap the bottle, please?
Just take a seat for a moment, sir. I'll be right back.
Yes.
That's the man who liquidated Scuba, Peters. Irving Duncan poses as a travel agent. Unfortunately, according to the report I just received, he eluded surveillance tonight.
He's the one who left the package in that room by mistake.
I'm sure it was a mistake because he must realize by now it can be traced to Weiner's, from Weiner's to Irene Storm, and Irene Storm might give him away.
Unless she's in the ring, too.
She is.
Here you are, sir, the package for Miss Storm.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day.
Now, that's all.
Chief, the coloring agent is put only into perfume made for this Irene Storm as identification, you said.
And as an excuse to go to Weiner's, or to expose certain individuals to our observation post.
Then Irene Storm is...
Of course. She's a counterspy.
You are listening to the case of the Pretty Plant on Counterspy. And later you will meet in person one of our government's most daring counter-espionage agents, Angela Calamiris. For your Christmas Eve listening pleasure, there's another hour-and-a-half broadcast of NBC's Sunday extravaganza, The Big Show, later today over most of these NBC stations. The glamorous, unpredictable Tallulah Bankhead will preside as usual, and her stars include Jimmy Durante, Ed Wynn, Charles Boyer, Margaret O'Brien, Meredith Wilson, and many, many more. There's another outstanding production by Theater Guild on the air today also. It's Charles Dickens' classic David Copperfield, and Boris Karloff stars as the grasping Uriah Heep. The immortal pages of Dickens come to life later on Theater Guild on the air. Now, back to Counterspy.
Now, Miss Storm, I hope you weren't bored waiting.
Bored? Hardly. Angry? Quite. I demand to know why I'm being held.
Duncan can't hear us, Miss Storm. Have you seen Mr. Harding lately? Or Peters?
Who?
Our chiefs in the Counterspies.
I don't know them, and I don't know you. I'm a nightclub singer. Except I'm not working now. I'm a friend of Irving Duncan's. We see a lot of each other, but that's all.
Miss Storm, Mr. Harding told me to say that you can speak frankly about your observations of the Duncan group.
The what?
Irving Duncan heads a group of ruthless spies in this country. Enemies of this country. You know that, since it's your job as a counterspy to report on them. Mr. Harding's very pleased with your report.
You've got me mixed up with somebody else. I'm Irene Storm, nightclub singer, period.
Duncan has just admitted that he's sending you to the Azores by plane on Tuesday, carrying an important paper.
Oh. Well, that's true.
I see.
Making me a present of the trip. I have no objection to taking expensive presents from a good friend like Mr. Duncan. And the document? It's only a list of people who might give money to relief organizations or something.
You're stubborn, Miss Storm.
There is no door in the curtain of steel.
What? Excuse me a moment. Duncan, come in.
Yes.
I like your friend, Irene Storm, Duncan. I don't think she believed for a moment that I'm a counterspy.
I did it first, until I said...
Careful, Miss Storm.
Don't worry. You couldn't control your facial expression, Mr...
Valviki.
You recognized it as the code statement of Echelon 2. A higher echelon than you and Duncan. Are we through with all this now?
Of course. I'm anxious to see you take off on Tuesday with that list. Here it is.
Thanks. I have some shopping to do tomorrow, including perfume.
Irene, I promised to get some for you.
Leave that to me, Dunk. Unless Mr. Valviki would like to help me with my shopping.
Delighted, Miss Storm. Now, how about a drink or two to celebrate tomorrow?
Winer's Drugstore. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Warner. This is Irene Store. I find I need 2 more bottles of Hyacinth perfume. Could you have them ready for me by 4 this afternoon?
Let's see.
I'm taking the morning plane to the Azores.
Well, in that case, Miss Storm, 4 o'clock this afternoon.
It's kind of a small space, Peters, but we can both squeeze in here.
The camera works automatically, huh?
It's controlled from upstairs. Men are on duty during all hours. The drugstore's open. Now, take a look through the one-way viewer here.
It's the same view as the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Counter, customers, chairs. Chief, suppose Irene Storm brings Duncan with her. Do you want to grab him?
No. Grabbing him might alert other group members. We don't know. Wait, hold it.
And then I told Dunk when he took me home last night, not another drink. I've had enough.
She's right on time.
That's not Duncan with her.
A new man.
Is your perfume ready, Miss Storm?
Well, it ought to be.
Hello, Miss Storm.
Hello, Mr. Weiner. My Hyacinth's ready?
Please sit down. I'll be right back.
Oh, sit down here, Mr. Valviki.
Valviki. You know him, Dad? Top man of their Western Hemisphere Bureau. How did he get into the country?
You know, women never cease to amaze me, Miss Storm. Going to all this trouble for a few drops of perfume.
There's a whip on his handkerchief. Don't you like it?
Bet you I'd like it.
Mind on the case, Peters. You can see why she's an effective agent.
That's a lovely house you have, Mr. Valviki. I've never been on Random Road before.
In the future, I hope you will see it again.
House on Random Road, Peters.
Got it.
Miss Storm?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Weiner. On the bill?
Of course.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Weiner, has anyone unusual been asking here about me?
No, Miss Storm. Nobody at all.
Oh, thanks again. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bright girl getting Valviki in here.
Apparently, he doesn't know that Duncan left that bottle in Scuba's room or he wouldn't have come.
Well, Irene must have some angle on that. She asked Weiner if anybody'd been looking for her, and Valviki gave her a look of sudden suspicion. She's got some plan on foot. Let's go.
Hello?
Hello, darling.
Oh, yes, Don.
I just had a call from our friend. He wants us both to come out to his house again this evening. He's very anxious.
Good. I'm very anxious to see him again, Don. Oh, pick me up here about 8 or so?
Your highball, Miss Storm?
Thanks.
Yours, Duncan?
Yes, thanks.
You are packed to leave, Miss Storm.
I finished up after you took me home this afternoon.
The list?
Quite safe.
Miss Storm, I've been puzzling over something you said in that drugstore.
What did I say?
You asked if anyone unusual had inquired after you. You're too clever to say things idly. Who specifically might be inquiring after you?
Valviki, I don't see any point in all
I thought
this.
the police might have come to Weiner's.
Why?
Irene.
Because yesterday afternoon, Dunk picked up a bottle of perfume for me there and forgot it somewhere else. And I'm afraid in Scuba's room.
Yeah. And, of course, it could be traced. Duncan, I asked you if you'd left any loose ends. Why did you conceal this?
I wasn't sure I left it there. Probably I didn't. Nothing's come of it. Irene, I asked you to protect me.
A loose end like that is dangerous and has to be tested, and I wanted Valviki to know.
You could have simply told me, Miss Storm. It was a risk to go back to Weiner's. For you and for me.
The list is the main thing. I didn't risk that.
Yes, quite right. Even so,
Oh. Valviki, you fired those shots.
From my pocket. Duncan was too careless. He had to be disposed of. Now we have no loose ends. I'll hide him in the cellar. You take off tomorrow. I go tonight.
Valviki?
I expect no one.
Neighbors? Police?
Maybe we were traced from Weiner's after all. You have the list at home. Go get it. Keep it safe, whatever you do. Leave by the back door. I'll cover you.
You'll be taken, Valviki. Maybe killed.
I'm always ready for that.
No. There's still one more thing for you to do. I order you to come with me.
Very well. Maybe we can both make it the back way.
Come on.
Here's Duncan.
Yeah. Dead.
The girl and Valviki are gone. Maybe the back way.
Hold it, Peter. I don't want Valviki caught just yet.
What?
Not just yet. Get on our car radio. Warn Edwards and Samuels not to grab those two. Only tail them.
Don't take me right to my apartment, Valviki. Better let me out here.
But I'm sure we were traced through Weiner's drugstore. Counterspies may be at your apartment now.
Give me a little credit, Valviki. I've removed everything dangerous from there. I'll be able to take off safely tomorrow morning.
I hope you're right.
There's one thing you've got to do at once. Communicate with headquarters overseas that I'm on my way to the Azores. Confirm my arrival.
Yes, all right. I have a transmitter in a warehouse.
Goodbye, Valviki. I'll probably never see you again.
Goodbye. And good luck.
Dave. Yeah? There's a faint light in that far corner of the warehouse.
Yeah, come on.
And this is R24 in New York. An urgent message, Mexico, for transmission at once to overseas about Agent T-171.
Valviki, Dave, at a shortwave sender.
Reporting about Irene Storm.
Let's grab him.
No, wait. Let him report. Then Irene Storm can still work safely in that spy ring.
Listen, Mexico. Report to overseas. T-171 has the list. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., New York time, she will fly to the Azores. Tell Aunt Stella, T-171 is absolutely reliable. This is R24 cutting out.
All right, Peter, now.
All right, Valviki, United States Counterspies. You're under arrest.
I? Under arrest?
Peters, take a look at that transmitter.
Right.
Well, Vicky, we're taking you in on suspicion of being a communist spy. What message did you send on this radio?
Message? Where? To whom?
Val Vicky, your spying days are over. Peter's calling the Mobile Squad. Take this place over. And Val Vicky, too. This is David Harding. In the case we've just presented, your counterspies were, of course, trained, experienced agents. But sometimes your government, in its fight against those who want to destroy it, calls upon average citizens. One such citizen is here now, at your counterspy microphone. She is Angela Calomaris, who, after a long period of posing as a communist, recently revealed her experiences in her best-selling book published by the J.B. Lippincott Company, titled Red Masquerade. Now, here in person, is Angela Calomaris.
8 years ago, I was a photographer in New York with no idea except to get ahead in my profession. For the next 7 years, I posed as a communist. I pretended to believe fanatically in the brutal, dishonest, anti-democratic cause of communism. And all that time, I reported communist activities regularly to the FBI. Why was I chosen for this unpleasant work? I was single, I came from an average family, and believed absolutely in our American democratic way of life. But I seemed to be typical communist material. It was important to know how communists worked, how they piped their vicious ideas into the ordinary stream of American life. So, at the request of the FBI, I became a member of the Communist Party. Discipline is iron. There is a pretense of democratic procedure, but actually everything happens in slavish obedience to whatever the Soviet Union wants. Under orders as a communist, I helped prolong strikes. I participated in demonstrations in Washington. I helped defeat the first anti-subversive action by Congress, the Munt-Nixon bill. In 1947, I participated in a national survey which resulted in a detailed blueprint for sabotage. In 1948, I helped reorganize the Communist Party in line with this blueprint. I helped promote communist and pro-communist candidates in elections. I raised funds, and with every other party member and fellow traveler, I gave at least 2 weeks' pay to 2 or 3 fund drives a year. And I personally met thousands of communists. I joined at least a dozen front organizations and 1 communist-dominated union. And all that time, I reported to the FBI. I reported in person, in meetings carefully arranged and camouflaged, by phone, always followed by written reports. The danger of exposure was always with me, but I was never exposed until I went into court last year to testify for the government as a surprise witness in the trial of the 11 Communist Party leaders. What did my work accomplish? On still one more front, I was able to show how communists, wrapping themselves in the American flag, work only for a system that wants to destroy everything our country stands for. The Communist Party is still a dangerous underground network. Communists are in every walk of life. Our country has never faced such a vicious threat. It is up to you, individual citizens, to combat communism wherever you find it. Communists mean business. I hope you do, too.
Thank you, Miss Calomaris. And good luck with your book, Red Masquerade. Through the efforts of patriotic citizens like yourself and trained government agents, the activities of subversive groups will be constantly under surveillance, so that free men will continue to remain free.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting case of the kleptomaniac Clues.
When certain papers, invaluable to the nation's mobilization plans, were reported missing, your counterspies subtracted a teakwood figure from a whatnot shop and found it added up to murder. To learn how this crime, multiplied by intrigue and divided by espionage, resulted in one of the strangest cases in counterspy history, listen next week to
Case of the Kleptomaniac Clues on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Paul R. Milton, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production. Three chimes mean good times on NBC.